Chapter 2446. With that, the sword radiance on the swordsman's body flowed and gradually transformed into a giant sword that was dozens of feet long. The sword radiance was as bright as the moon in the mortal world. Clang! There was an earth-shattering sound of the sword, and a sword chi shot into the sky. Qin Jian and the rest's flying swords were trembling and buzzing. Senior! Qin Jian and the rest were shocked as they did not know what the swordsman was doing. At this moment, a divine thought swept over from the direction of Sky Patrol City. It was Qin Jian and the rest. Ah! Nascent soul stage divine thought! Shuiyu sage! Qin Jian and the rest panicked and did not dare to delay. Seeing the giant sword that the swordsman had transformed into dashing into the distance, a few of them hurriedly flew on their flying swords and followed suit. However, the swordsman's sword shadow quickly disappeared and a few of them remained in the distant sky. Strange! After a long time, a rainbow light descended from the direction of Sky Patrol City. It was Shuiyu Sage's figure in the rainbow light. He scanned with his divine thought and muttered to himself, "What are the swordsmen doing here? What are those illusory swordsmen doing? Oh, there seems to be a kid called Qin Jian among them? Oh no, it's a teleportation formation." After Shuiyu Sage took a closer look, he could not help but smile bitterly. These little brats are really good. They actually discovered a secret teleportation formation. With that, Shuiyu Sage flew for another 10 miles. He pointed his finger, and a faint white light landed on the ground. After a while, a golden core stage cultivator respectfully came out and bowed. "Disciple Lan Zhili greets Governor. What orders do you have for me?" "Zhili, your teleportation formation has been discovered by the swordsman. It's better to go somewhere else," Shuiyu Sage said with a smile. "Oh? What?" Lan Zhili smiled bitterly and bowed again. "I understand. I'll go somewhere else." "Oh no! I've been lured away by the swordsman's plan." Shuiyu Sage suddenly felt something and scanned Sky Patrol City with his divine thought. Without waiting for Lan Zhili to say anything, he dived into the ground and disappeared. Lan Zhili was stunned. When he dived into the ground, he saw the teleportation formation rumbling violently. Shuiyu Sage had used the teleportation formation to return to Sky Patrol City. What happened in Sky Patrol City? Miss Zhili's expression was uncertain. He ordered a disciple to teleport back to Sky Patrol City to investigate while he packed up the formation and prepared to move the teleportation formation to another place. Xiao Hua concealed his figure and came out from the Imperial Thunder Sect's encampment. He picked a direction and flew towards the street he saw during the day. Although Xiao Hua could not tell the direction clearly, the busiest place in Sky Patrol City was Tu Hong's residence. On a bright and spacious street, huge lanterns were hung every 10 feet or so. Those lanterns were bright red, illuminating the entire street. The red brilliance of the lanterns swayed slightly, as if it was a burning flame. The red glow of joy was reflected on the faces of the guests on the street, and they were all brimming with joy. Although it was already late at night, there were still many cultivators who came to visit Tu Hong's mansion. Of course, Tu Hong would not stay here. There were disciples from Tu Hong's mansion and disciples from Sky Patrol City at the entrance to greet them. Some cultivators were invited into the mansion and were escorted by disciples. Some cultivators handed over their gift lists or storage pouches and left after cupping their fists in salute. This old dog. I wonder how many spirit stones he received for a dual cultivation ceremony. Xiao Hua's figure flashed in the night sky. He looked coldly at the bustling residence, and thought about Cui Hongshan's desolation. Then, Xiao Hua looked at Tu Hong's residence and thought to himself, Tu Hong's residence is so big, I don't know where to find Dui Qiming. Moreover, there are many guests in Tu Hong's residence, and there are many golden core cultivators. How can I make a move so easily? Besides, Shuiyu's spiritual master is still in Sky Patrol City. If I make a move, I might even lose my life if I fail to kill Tu Hong. Forget it, I'll let that guy off for today. I'll find Dui Qiming and ask her. If she still has feelings for Cui Hongshan and said that she was deceived by Tu Hong, I'll still knock her out and send her into the space. Who would know that it was my doing? When I find a chance to kill Tu Hong in the future, I'll throw Dui Qiming somewhere and let her return to Imperial Thunder Sect by herself. Then, I'll still be able to accomplish Chui Hongshan's good deed. Damn it, I can't let him call me senior brother for nothing. If Dui Qiming really has a change of heart, then, forget it. Everyone has their own ambitions. Tu Hong, that guy, is indeed much better than Chui Hongshan. However, since Dui Qiming has made such a choice, when Tu Hong is killed by me in the future, all the bitter consequences will be her own choice. Xiaohua thought. His figure once again concealed himself and fled into the distance of the mansion. When he arrived at a dark place, he carefully released his Buddhist consciousness. He saw that there were faint restrictions on the periphery of Tu Hong's mansion. The restrictions on the interior were frequently patrolled by Foundation establishment cultivators with some qi refining disciples. They seemed to be very vigilant and did not neglect the dual cultivation ceremony. Humph, they're just a bunch of clay chickens and pottery dogs. They're just decorations. Xiaohua snorted coldly. His figure fled into the ground. The faint restrictions on the ground seemed to be unable to stop his figure. However, just as Xiaohua's figure broke through the restriction, several Gold Core Realm cultivators were sitting in the meeting hall of Tu Hong's residence. Qing Bai, Yunchen, and the other late-stage Gold Core Realm cultivators that Xiaohua had seen in the teleportation array were also present. Tu Hong seemed to be accompanying these cultivators and talking about something. His crimson Taoist robe and glowing red face were somewhat different from the one in the meeting hall of Yanxi Manor during the day. From time to time, his gaze would fall lovingly on the face of Dui Qiming, who was sitting beside him. There was also Lan Xian, who Xiaohua had only seen a few times before. She carefully stood at the entrance of the meeting hall, accompanying everyone. She was Tu Hong's advisor during the war. Now that they had arrived at Sky Patrol City, she only needed to accompany Tu Hong and sometimes give him advice. She didn't need to worry about the matters of the dual cultivation ceremony. At this time, Dui Qiming's face was not particularly pale. Instead, there was a kind of blush smeared on her cheeks. Of course, his eyes were still filled with hesitation, joy, disbelief, and other complicated expressions. He did not hear what the crowd was saying, and only looked at the ground. The ground was paved with huge bluestone, and runes could be faintly seen on the bluestone. Tu Hong's eyes flashed with regret, as if he was very distressed for Dui Qiming. He said, "Qiming, if you feel something is wrong, you can go back and rest first." "Haha, I'm afraid it's fine." Before Dui Qiming could speak, Qianmo smiled and said, "How can the disciples of my Imperial Thunder Sect be so spoiled? It's probably because the ceremony is approaching that you feel something is wrong in your heart, right? I'll let Marshal Uncle Qian know." Dui Qiming's face piled up a forced smile. "Disciple is really fine, I just feel very uncomfortable in my heart." "Ha ha ha," Yunchen laughed and said, "I'm afraid fellow Taoist Dui feels this is a bit unbelievable, right? I can't believe that fellow Taoist Dui and fellow Taoist Tu actually fell in love at first sight. This is something I can't even imagine in my dreams." "And that's true." Qing Bai nodded slightly. "As far as I know, female cultivators always feel something is wrong before the dual cultivation ceremony. This feeling will slowly fade with time. If fellow Taoist Dui is not feeling well, you might as well rest first. We are all good friends of Tu Hong, so you don't need to accompany us here." "How can that be?" Dui Qiming nodded slightly and said, "Since martial uncles are here, I should accompany you." "How can I be so impolite?" "Haha, you're still calling us martial uncles." Qianmo laughed. "In a few days you'll have to change this form of address." Dui Qiming's expression was extremely awkward, but there was also a hint of joy in her eyes. In fact, there was even a trace of joy in her eyes. "Oh, by the way, Qiming, this old man has already received a message from the sect. Palace Master Dui Jie and your master of the Imperial Thunder Sect will be arriving in a few days. You have to brace yourself to welcome your elders." Qianmo smiled and turned to Tu Hong, saying, My humble sect's spiritual master Qian Lazy can't personally attend fellow Taoist Tu's dual cultivation ceremony due to the sect's busy affairs. He has already sent Palace Master Dui to bring the congratulatory gift. Fellow Taoist Tu, please report it to Spiritual Master Mingxue. When Tu Hong heard this, he quickly got up and bowed. Many thanks to Spiritual Master Qian Lazy, many thanks to fellow Taoist Qian. Senior Qian Lazy is the leader of a sect. Not to mention that he's busy. Even if he's free, this junior would never dare to invite him to come all the way to Sky Patrol City. If there's a chance in the future, this junior will personally go to the Imperial Thunder Sect to meet Spiritual Master Qian Lazy. Haha, isn't that easy? When Qiming returns to my Sky Thunder Peak, fellow Taoist too can follow her. Qianmo helped Tu Hong up and said with a smile. That's right, Tu Hong said. Suddenly, he frowned and his face turned ugly. Oh? What's wrong? Fellow Taoist too? Qianmo was very close to Tu Hong. He immediately felt that something was wrong and asked curiously. Haha, it's nothing. This too might be the same as Qiming. Tu Hong laughed and covered up his unnatural expression. Ha! Everyone laughed. Dui Qiming's face turned even redder, and her eyes stopped on Tu Hong. It seemed that on Tu Hong's body, there was also Cui Hongshan's shadow. However, as soon as she thought of Cui Hongshan, Dui Qiming's heart ached, and her face turned pale once more. Her eyes were also a bit blurred. Hesitation, contradiction, regret, melancholy, joy, helplessness, fear, all of these emotions were tangled together at this moment. However, Tu Hong didn't pay attention to Dui Qiming at this time. He cupped his hands across his chest and said, Fellow Taoists, please wait a moment. This too has some matters to pass down. Ha! Qianmo and the others nodded and picked up the spirit tea on the table. As for Tu Hong, he quickly walked in front of Lan Xian and nodded, indicating that she should follow him out. -8. Chapter 2447. The two exchanged sound transmissions outside the door for a moment. Then, they saw Tu Hong take something with a puzzled look on his face as he hurried away. Tu Hong's face relaxed as he returned to the conference hall. Half an hour passed and Lan Xian still hadn't returned. Tu Hong was a bit distracted. He glanced at Dui Qiming and said, Qiming, it's late now. I'll send you back. Your master will be here in a few days, so you must rest well. Dui Qiming was lost in her thoughts and didn't pay attention to Tu Hong's expression. When she heard Tu Hong's words, she was slightly surprised. It was late now, but to a cultivator, who cared about time. However, Dui Qiming got up and smiled. I'm a bit tired. Martial uncles, please stay here and chat. This junior will take her leave. Then, she nodded to everyone and turned towards the door of the reception hall. At this time, Tu Hong was about to stand up and send her off, but his expression changed. He cupped his hands and said, Everyone, please wait here for a moment. I have something to do and will be back soon. Without waiting for anyone to speak, he flew up and flew out of the reception hall. In a moment, he passed Dui Qiming and disappeared into the night sky. This? Qing Bai and the others looked at each other in dismay. Haha, Tu Hong is always like this. When he encounters something unexpected, he doesn't even greet us. Today can be considered good, Yunshin said with a smile. We don't need to pay attention to him. We'll just wait here for him. That's not good. Qianmo stood up and said, He's in Tu Hong's mansion right now. If he left in such a hurry, there must be something troublesome. We are all his good friends, so how can we just stand by and watch? This? Qing Bai hesitated. Just like what Qianmo said, this was Tu Hong's residence. He left in a hurry and didn't tell them anything. Wasn't it because he had some unspeakable things to say? If they went to help, Tu Hong might not be willing to do so. However, Qianmo's status was different. After all, he was Dui Qiming's martial uncle and also the representative of the Imperial Thunder Sect in Sky Patrol City. Everyone had to listen to his words. Fellow Taoist Qian, I'm afraid it's not convenient for us to interfere with fellow Taoist Tu Hong's affairs, right? Yunchen said softly. Of course not. Qian Mo waved his hand and said, This old man befriended Qian Mo precisely because of his magnanimity. What could he possibly do that we can't interfere with? What's more, as a friend, one must treat each other with sincerity. In my opinion, he's probably afraid of troubling us, right? Oh no. It's Qin Jian. Qi Meng, come with me. While Qian Mo was speaking, his spiritual will had already reached Tu Hong's side. He hurriedly shouted and rushed out. Hearing Qian Mo's words, Qing Bai, Yunchen, and the others were also shocked. They all spread out their divine senses and saw a sword cultivator confronting Tu Hong in midair. Therefore, they didn't say anything and flew towards the night sky. Xiao Hua, on the other hand, appeared in a garden in Tu Hong's residence after breaking through the restriction for half a cup of tea's time. Humph, this guy really knows how to enjoy himself. Xiao Hua looked at the lush spiritual flowers and plants in the garden. They didn't wither because of the cold of Sky Patrol City. He also thought of the flowers and plants under the spirit stone vein of Spring Gold Mountain, and couldn't help but curl his lips. Xiao Hua released his Buddhist sense, and roughly glanced at several busy disciples nearby. Then, he jumped towards a female disciple who was tidying up her things in the attic. And this is indeed a bit difficult. Xiao Hua used his method to ask the female disciple. Then, he flew into the night sky and flew towards the center of the residence. According to this female disciple, Tu Hong's Golden Core friends came to visit today. They are talking in the reception hall. If there is no accident, Dui Qi Meng should also be accompanying them. Damn it, Dui Qi Meng and Tu Hong are now together meeting Golden Core cultivators. How can she dual cultivate with my myriad Thunder Valley's disciples? Even if that Cui Hongshan doesn't dislike it, this young master will. Hey, isn't this the think tank called Lan Xian? Xiao Hua was lost in his thoughts. As he was preparing to release his Buddhist sense to search for the meeting hall, he suddenly saw a person. This person was hidden in the shadows, walking along a corridor towards a pagoda-shaped building. This guy is Tu Hong's close friend. Why isn't he in the reception hall welcoming guests? What is he doing here? Xiao Hua immediately paid attention to this person. He secretly lowered his body and stood in midair. Lan Xian didn't seem to care at all as she casually walked through the corridor. She passed through several dozen feet of open space and arrived in front of the 10-foot-tall pagoda. Then, Lan Xian released her divine sense and looked around. After confirming that there was no one around, she reached out and took out a token from her storage bag. She poured her magic power into the pagoda. As the token touched the pagoda, it immediately flashed with a brilliant light. This light quickly covered the top of the pagoda from a fist-sized glazed area. When this light fell to the ground, a small door the size of a person appeared in front of Lan Xian. Haha, the general is really careful. Lan Xian laughed and pushed the door open. When the door closed, the brilliant light rose up from the bottom, protecting the entire pagoda and restoring it to its original appearance. As for why Lan Xian had come here, this was naturally because Tu Hong had sent her here. But if Xiao Hua hadn't broken into the spell, Tu Hong wouldn't have sent her here. But what if Tu Hong hadn't sent Lan Xian here? Xiao Hua wouldn't have been able to find this place, right? What was the cause and what was the effect? Who could say for sure? Humph, coming here at this time, she seems so relaxed. Could this be a trap? Xiao Hua hesitated. How could there be so many coincidences? As soon as he came in, he would run into Lan Xian. But even if it is a trap, so what? Do you think this young master is afraid? Xiao Hua's figure appeared in midair. With a cold snort, he escaped into the ground and disappeared. After Lan Xian entered the pagoda, she saw that it was a space several dozen feet wide. This space was very tight. It was filled with large stones that were commonly seen in Sky Patrol City. Above her head was a blue stone wall, and beside it was a small ladder that led to the second level of the pagoda. There wasn't anything special about this stone wall. There wasn't even the slightest fluctuation of magic power. However, Lan Xian only glanced at the small ladder. Then she slapped her hand and took out a thumb-sized milky white bead. He knew that although this stone wall and ladder looked very ordinary, and even if one used their divine sense to sweep through them, they wouldn't be able to see anything strange. But as long as one stepped on the ladder, or if one approached the stone wall or the corner of the stone wall, the entire pagoda would send out an extremely powerful attack. This attack was personally arranged by Tu Hong. Even an early golden core cultivator wouldn't be able to escape from it. In particular, the magic weapon at the top of the pagoda was even more powerful. It was used to prevent cultivators or sword cultivators from entering the pagoda from the air. When Tu Hong had laid down the array formation, he had asked Sage Shuiyu to help him. Thus, some of Tu Hong's secrets were also placed in this pagoda. As Lan Xian thought about Tu Hong's uneasiness just now, she couldn't help but laugh at herself. It was just like the onlooker had a clear view of the situation. Lan Xian didn't think that with true Lord Snow lands guarding Sky Patrol City, there would be a sword cultivator that would break in and cause trouble. Even if there were some Dao sect cultivators that had some disputes with Sky Patrol City, they wouldn't dare to cause trouble for Sky Patrol City. After all, Sky Patrol City had a righteous reason to resist the attacks of sword cultivators. However, since this was Tu Hong's order, Lan Xian didn't dare to neglect it. Along the way, he didn't dare to fly around recklessly. Instead, he walked at a leisurely pace, trying not to draw attention to himself. Not only that, but he also carefully released his divine sense. Now that he was inside the pagoda, his heart was finally at ease. Urging her magic power, Lan Xian began to recite the law formula that Tu Hong had just transmitted to her. The milky white bead began to emit a faint cloud of fog. The fog grew larger and larger until it covered her hand. Then, Lan Xian pointed her hand and an earthy yellow brilliance fell onto the ground in front of her. On the ground, there was a strange and irregular pattern. The brilliance was like a spark of fire, but the pattern was like a pan of oil. As soon as it touched the ground, there was a crackling sound like beans being fried. The entire pattern began to rise and fall with this sound, causing the entire ground to move. As Lan Xian saw that this undulation was about to reach the foundation of the pagoda, she quickly let go of her hand and allowed the cloud-shrouded bead to fall onto the other side of the pattern. This was exactly where the spark of fire had fallen. With a light clang, the bead disappeared from the ground, but the fog remained on the ground. At the same time, the undulation didn't stop. Rather, it began to change its rhythm. As the fog began to rotate, it gradually formed a vortex. This vortex became increasingly large, gradually covering the entire pattern. Looking at the steps formed by the layers of fog within the vortex, Lan Xian tentatively stepped onto them. After all, this was the first time that she had entered this important area of the pagoda. Sure enough, as Lan Xian stood on top of the vortex immediately shrank, returning to the place where the bead had disappeared. As for Lan Xian, she also disappeared along with the fog. The entire space was restored to its previous tranquility. Lan Xian felt her vision blur for a moment. When she could see clearly again, she couldn't help but be surprised. This was because the space he was standing in was exactly the same as the space he had been in. There was also a blue stone wall, and there was a small ladder in the corner. However, beneath his feet, beside the same pattern, there was a 3-foot-wide hole. From this hole, a faint white fog floated out. As this fog floated up several inches, it turned into bits of ice that fell down. That should be it. Lan Xian faintly nodded. She stretched out her hand and grasped at the void. The milky white bead that had just disappeared flew out from the diagram and fell into her hand. Then, Lan Xian stepped in front of the hole and floated into it, her figure not slowing down at all. -8. Chapter 2448. She saw that this was a space of ice and frost. The pale white clouds that she had seen before filled the air, and bits of ice were scattered all over the ground. In the middle of this fog, several bright flower stones floated in the air, emitting a faint brilliance that illuminated the center of this space. On the ground, there was a sparkling and translucent crystal coffin. Needless to say, the one lying in the crystal coffin was Yu Meng. Her thick black eyelashes seemed to tremble, and her pure white skin shimmered with a snowy brilliance. Just looking at her made one feel a chill run down their spine. Lan Xian landed beside the crystal coffin. She first looked at it, and then swept her divine sense over it. Seeing that there was nothing wrong with it, she sighed and said, "As the ancients say, even heroes find it difficult to resist the charms of a beautiful woman. Even a character like the High General is no exception. Putting on such a grand display, it's all for the woman he loves. Who is it?" Lan Xian's heart suddenly stirred. She felt the bead in her hand slightly jump. She quickly looked up at the hole she had just fallen into. She didn't believe that there would be someone who would actually invade the pagoda. "Let this old man take a look, just what sort of treasure Tu Hong has in here." Xiaohua transformed into a Qin Jian and flew down from the hole. "Ah?" As Xiaohua's eyes fell onto Yu Meng's face, he was immediately shocked. He never imagined that Dui Qiming would fall into such a state. Damn! Xiaohua's heart suddenly filled with guilt. He sighed as he thought that he had been suspicious of Dui Qiming. Who would have thought that Dui Qiming had already fallen into Tu Hong's trap and was no longer in control of herself? "Qin Jian! You, how did you come here?" As Lan Xian saw Qin Jian's familiar face, she was even more shocked than Xiaohua seeing Yu Meng. Haha! Xiaohua opened his mouth and a blue and red flying sword flew out. In the air, it split into 4 sword lights that shot towards Lan Xian. As Lan Xian saw this blue and red sword light split into 4, and each one was a sword light, it didn't seem like an ordinary sword cultivator. Lan Xian was stunned for a moment, but as she saw the sword light flash in front of her, her heart went cold, and an inexplicable palpitation rose up from the bottom of her heart. She didn't dare to be negligent. She hastily activated the bead in her hand, and a white fog emerged from the bead, rapidly expanding. At the same time, the white fog in the air was also driven by the bead, instantly forming a thick layer of fog around Lan Xian, firmly protecting her. CSI. A soft sound rang out. The power of the flying sword was far beyond his imagination. Unknowingly, it pierced into the mist. Moreover, that frightening feeling was even more intense. It made him feel as if he was about to be pierced by the flying sword. "It really is an illusory swordsman." Lan Xian couldn't help but groan. She knew that everything pointed to disaster, so she clenched her teeth and spat out a mouthful of blood that fell onto the bead. With a muffled sound, the bead suddenly swelled. Countless blood vessels stretched out like tentacles, rapidly spreading outwards. Chunks of ice formed in the thick fog, blocking Xiaohua's slaying dream. "Eh?" Xiaohua's eyebrows shot up. He sneered. "You think you can block this old man's flying sword with just this?" As Xiaohua spoke, he flicked his finger and several sparks flew into the fog, immediately igniting the ice. "Ah? Samadhi true fire, you! How do you know Samadhi true fire?" Lan Xian was surprised. He, this old man's raging flame, how did it become Samadhi true fire?" Xiaohua pretended to cover it up. However, he didn't need to cover it up. This was because the bead in Lan Xian's hand that had already been dyed red with blood suddenly flew into the air. As Lan Xian clumsily formed a law formula, a crimson light suddenly shot up into the air. Swoosh! A sound similar to the sound of water pouring from the 9 heavens rang out, and snowflakes that covered the sky and covered the earth began to fall. The magic power on the snowflakes surged, and there was also an indescribable light mixed within. As the snowflakes spiraled down, the light was also glaring, and as it scattered down, the spiritual energy of the entire space seemed to have solidified. A kind of suffocating pressure surged towards Xiaohua. "How troublesome!" Xiaohua sensed the might of the magic treasure and couldn't help but sigh. His entire body suddenly flew up, and with a stretch of his hand, he executed the heaven and earth sleeve technique and met the restrictive force head-on. With a series of cracking sounds, the two forces broke apart, and Xiaohua's body was smashed down several inches. At this time, Lan Xian heard Xiaohua shout out, "Separate!" The four sword lights that caused Lan Xian's heart to palpitate instantly split apart once more. Four more sword lights shot out, breaking through the clouds and piercing towards Lan Xian. Fight! Lan Xian had already brought out her bead, using the magic tools within the pagoda to attack Xiaohua. As she saw four more sword lights fly out, she only needed to clap her hands and separate a wisp of her divine sense to take out her magic tool. How could Xiaohua allow her to struggle? Xiaohua's figure suddenly swayed, and in a moment he arrived near Lan Xian. With a flick of his sleeve, an imprisoning force that Lan Xian couldn't resist was born from his sleeve, sucking away all of the world's spiritual energy around Lan Xian. This is... Lan Xian struggled with all her strength. But with her late foundation establishment cultivation, how could she possibly resist Xiaohua? She couldn't even move. At this time, the four sword lights shot through the clouds like bolts of lightning, piercing into Lan Xian's body. "You!" Lan Xian seemed as if she wanted to say something, but no words came out. Seeing that the surging snowflakes had already reached the top of Xiaohua's head, Xiaohua didn't say anything. He stretched out his hand and grabbed the sun-leaf fan in his hand. With a "hoo" sound, a fire dragon appeared and blew away the snowflakes near him. Xiaohua flew up again and used the heaven and earth sleeve technique to cover the pearl that no one was controlling. It was very easy for him to absorb it into his space. Without the bead, the snowflakes that filled the sky disappeared like a whirlwind. Against this Lan Xian, this young master has to use the universe within sleeves technique. I'm still not used to this flying sword. Xiaohua was a bit distressed. As a cultivator, using magic techniques was a natural matter. He wasn't used to it at all. Xiaohua opened his mouth and the beheading dream flew into it. His eyes fell on the crystal coffin. As his divine sense swept over the crystal coffin, he knew that the person inside had already lost all signs of life. Senior apprentice sister Dui. Xiaohua sighed. This little brother wanted to bring everyone from the Imperial Thunder Sect's first squad back to the Imperial Thunder Sect, but the result was... Senior apprentice sister was the first to go. As Xiaohua spoke, he frowned. Didn't that Tu Hong want to dual cultivate with senior apprentice sister? Why did he take your life? And why did he keep you in the crystal coffin? Looking at Lan Xian's appearance, it seems that she came to investigate. The dual cultivation ceremony will soon begin, so what will Tu Hong use to awaken senior apprentice sister Dui? What will he use to explain to the Sky Patrol City Lord and my Imperial Thunder Sect? Could it be that Qian Mo didn't allow Cui Hongshan to see Dui Qiming because he knew that Dui Qiming had already died? This is really strange. Xiaohua couldn't figure it out no matter how he thought about it. Ha! Just what is this young master thinking? Isn't this ready-made? Xiaohua's eyes fell on Lan Xian's corpse that hadn't yet turned cold. Lin! Xiaohua immediately took out the Buddha relic. Underneath this Buddha relic that was filled with boundless magic power and compassion, Lan Xian's soul was exceptionally well behaved. She began to speak of everything she knew. Go! Xiaohua sighed. The golden light of the Buddha relic's Lin character fell onto Lan Xian's soul, and the human-shaped soul immediately turned into a wisp of white smoke. So that's how it is! Xiaohua looked at Yu Meng's body, a thoughtful expression on his face. For the sake of his true love, Tu Hong laid down such a trick, and senior apprentice sister Dui was still kept in the dark. Even now, Dui Qiming hasn't seen Cui Hongshan's corpse, but she still hasn't given up hope. She has always been asking to find Cui Hongshan's remains. This young master suspected her for nothing. Per Dui Qiming, she was nothing but a chess piece in a transaction. When the right opportunity came, she would become Yu Meng. Yu Meng and Dui Qiming were so similar that even this young master couldn't tell them apart. How could the disciples of Sky Patrol City who were with Tu Hong be able to tell? Moreover, I fear that Yu Meng won't return to the Imperial Thunder Sect in the future. Tu Hong's trick was truly flawless, No one could see through it. That bastard actually had such a scheme in mind when my Imperial Thunder Sect's first squad arrived at the Golden Spring Mountain Spirit Stone Mine. It's really. At this time, Xiaohua's heart stirred. This Xiao has been cultivating in the Golden Spring Mountain Spirit Stone Array, and I can feel karma in my heart. Could it be that this is also one of them? Humph, Tu Hong, oh Tu Hong, even if you found 1,000,000 soul cultivators from Meng Mountain, so what? This young master will destroy this Yu Ming's body so that you won't be able to rest in peace for the rest of your life. Thinking this, Xiaohua took out the wishful scepter and prepared to destroy the crystal coffin. But at this time, he couldn't bear to do so. Tu Hong can be considered an ambitious and ruthless character. He has a heart of stone and left tens of thousands of disciples at Golden Spring Mountain. But for this Yu Ming, he has also gone to great lengths. He isn't even afraid of scheming against Taoist Master Shuiyu. He is truly a sentimental person. Besides, this Yu Meng is already dead, destroying her corpse is disrespectful. Ha, this young master was wrong. This is truly an opportunity given to me by the heavens. Xiaohua suddenly realized something. This young master will bring this Yu Meng to Tu Hong's guest hall and let everyone see her corpse. Then, I will reveal his scheme. How will he be able to dual cultivate with Du Ichiming? This will help that Cui Hongshun achieve his goal. He didn't call me senior apprentice brother in vain. Thinking this, Xiaohua looked up at the broken mirror in front of the crystal coffin. Xiaohua had already learned from Lan Xian that this broken magic tool was the ice essence mirror. The ice in this space, as well as the snowflakes and scattered lights that were released by the bead, were all sent up by this magic tool fragment. As for the crystal coffin, it was also related to this magic tool. If he didn't destroy this magic tool fragment, then there would inevitably be an extremely powerful spell that would be released from this magic tool. As Xiaohua looked at the mirror, a faintly discernible beam of light flashed past. Xiaohua's vision immediately blurred, as if he were in an illusion within the Xiantian true water. -8. Chapter 2449. Xiaohua sucked in a breath of cold air. Granny, this artifact fragment without anyone controlling it is actually so powerful. I'm rich! Xiaohua thought as his figure flew into the air. However, where his divine sense was, there were a bunch of fireflies scattered around it like butterflies. The deep white brilliance and extreme coldness came from those fireflies. However, there was no trace of the mirror surface. The icy mirror was so strange that Xiaohua became even more happy. Just as he was about to approach again, a brilliance flashed out from the fireflies and quickly covered Xiaohua. A bone-piercing chill, as well as a stagnant magic power, although it had not yet reached Xiaohua, it had already hit a large area of protective brilliance in front of him. Xiaohua's faint protective brilliance actually began to collapse bit by bit. Destroy! Xiaohua stretched out his hand and took out the yang leaf fan. Urging his magic power, a fire dragon rushed out and pounced on that brilliance. However, as if encountering a cold current, the fire dragon that had previously been invincible immediately began to be annihilated when it touched the brilliance. In the blink of an eye, it was extinguished by the brilliance like a whirlwind. Jie! Xiaohua shouted. His figure suddenly flashed and strangely disappeared from midair. That brilliance missed and hit the space's stone wall. With a rumbling sound, the restrictions on the stone wall rapidly flickered. Hit! Xiaohua's figure appeared again, already at the edge of the fireflies. The yang leaf fan in his hand changed into the wishful steel staff. Following Xiaohua's shout, the wishful steel staff hit the fireflies. Walala! Like the sound of flowing water, the fireflies shattered, and even the brilliance scattered. However, at the same time, several rays of brilliance burst out. Pa! Xiaohua's wishful steel staff was like a chicken nodding, not waiting for the brilliance to fly out and hit it. This icy mirror is indeed powerful. Xiaohua frowned slightly, and the magic eye on his left hand opened. Sure enough, the icy mirror was not shattered by Xiaohua. A crescent-like icy blue mirror surface swam like a fish among the fireflies. Return! Seeing that the fireflies had another brilliance, Xiaohua did not dare to be negligent. His right hand stretched out, and the universe in the sleeve covered it again. Puff, puff, puff! The sleeves of Xiaohua's Taoist robe, which he had changed into at the last moment, were torn apart like a flurry of butterflies. The brilliance of the ice frost mirror had actually broken through the restriction of the heaven and earth in the sleeve. However, the instant the icy mirror was imprisoned by the universe in the sleeve, Xiaohua's consciousness also arrived. Collect! Xiaohua thought as his consciousness wrapped around the icy mirror. In an instant, numerous doors that seemed to have opened appeared on the surface of the mirror. Numerous beautiful illusions appeared behind the doors, and numerous snowy plateaus stood within the illusions. Xiaohua's mind flashed past the door on the mirror. There was a boundless temptation coming from it. If Xiaohua hadn't seen so many illusions before, he would have been lost in one of them if he wasn't careful. Good boy! Xiaohua hurriedly activated God guidance, maintaining a trace of clarity in his mind as he stored the icy mirror into his space. Then, he looked at the empty space and the darkness where the door had appeared before. He couldn't help but be astonished. Is this an illusion? Or is this really a door? Xiaohua stored the fragments of the icy mirror and the crystal coffin into his space. When he was thinking about the defensive array on the pagoda, he felt an extremely angry divine sense sweep over and easily locked onto him. Xiaohua immediately understood that Tu Hong must have done something to the icy mirror and the crystal coffin. By taking the icy mirror and the crystal coffin, he had snatched away Tu Hong's treasures and immediately alarmed him. Ha ha ha! Immediately, Xiaohua had no choice but to abandon the pagoda. His figure abruptly flew into the air with a green flying sword in his hand. So it's the sanctimonious great General Tu Hong who has come! Xiaohua laughed loudly and shouted. In the dark night, his voice spread far and wide. Unexpectedly, Tu Hong didn't say anything at all. With a wave of his hand, the triangular magic treasure in his hand flew into the air. As the magic treasure shook, 3 clear lights of 3 colors flew out from 3 sides of the magic treasure and shot towards Xiaohua. Ayaya! Xiaohua's body swayed as he used the wind escape technique. His entire body flew high into the air like a feather and easily dodged the clear lights. He then shouted loudly, Tu Hong, this old man rushed thousands of miles to give you the congratulatory gift for the dual cultivation ceremony. Why are you so unreasonable? Your Tao sect keeps on talking about benevolence, righteousness, and morality. Why is there no such thing when it comes to you? Xiaohua's voice was so loud that it had already alarmed the nearby disciples. Even the cultivators who came to congratulate from afar heard it. At this time, Qianmo, Qingbai, and the others' divine senses also swept over, and several figures of reinforcements could be vaguely seen. Qin Jian! Tu Hong's face was ashen. He bit his lips and his eyes were about to spit fire. He angrily transmitted his voice. My Sky Patrol City Lord is in charge of the Sky Patrol City. How dare you come to my residence to cause trouble? If you want to live, quickly, leave my things behind and run away. What? What if this Qin doesn't leave? What if this Qin can't escape? Xiaohua heard Tu Hong's voice transmission and sneered in his heart as he asked coldly. Then this too can only fight to the death. Tu Hong gritted his teeth and said angrily. Ha, what a joke! Xiaohua laughed loudly. This old man originally came to take your life. You actually want to fight to the death with me. Why don't you take a look at yourself? How dare you fight to the death with me? Qin Jian. In an instant, a trace of humiliation flashed across Tu Hong's eyes. He continued to transmit his voice in a low voice. You only need to leave the things that you took with you to me. Or you can take them first. If you run away now, this too will definitely repay you generously. Even if the City Lord's divine sense arrives, this too will guarantee your safety. If Xiaohua was Tu Hong, he might have compromised or even hesitated. However, Xiaohua was not Tu Hong. Seeing that Tu Hong wanted to use the lives of the Dao sect cultivators to make a deal with the sword cultivators, Xiao Hua was instantly enraged. The last trace of sympathy he had for Tu Hong had completely disappeared. Go, Xiao Hua chanted a sword technique. The green flying sword turned into a ray of light and pierced towards Tu Hong. At the same time, Xiao Hua shouted, Tu Hong, this old man is here to take your life. Give it to me, you. Seeing that Xiao Hua was not afraid of the Shuiyu spiritual master's threat and did not intend to compromise with him, Tu Hong was helpless. He could only shake his magic treasure. A ray of yellow light flew out from the magic treasure and blocked the green flying sword. Zi-la-la. Sounds could be heard. The light easily blocked the sword light and even started to corrode the sword light. Oh? Xiao Hua was slightly stunned. He squinted his eyes and looked at Tu Hong's magic treasure. The light from this magic treasure was similar to the light from the ice sea mirror. When Tu Hong saw that the magic treasure was able to easily block Qin Jian's flying sword, he was overjoyed. He felt that Qin Jian was not as powerful as the rumors said. Attack! Tu Hong gathered his courage and shook his magic treasure again. 6 rays of light appeared from 3 sides of the magic treasure and shot towards Xiao Hua from different angles. Withdraw! Xiao Hua was helpless. He could only wave his hand and the green flying sword flew into his hand. He then activated his wind escape technique and dodged the rays of light while flying towards Tu Hong. How could Tu Hong let Xiao Hua get close to him? He also quickly flew up. His hands were constantly chanting as his magic power flowed into his magic treasure. Rays of light appeared in front of him to block Xiao Hua's attack. Even though the radiance from Tu Hong's magical artifact was faint, it was still bright under the night sky. It had long attracted the attention of everyone. Qian Mo and the rest even flew closer to Xiao Hua. It seemed like they were already transmitting their voices, wanting to surround Xiao Hua from all directions. Xiao Hua's divine sense swept over and saw Dui Qiming's extremely nervous expression. His heart unconsciously thumped as he thought, not good, could it be that she has feelings for Tu Hong? However, Xiao Hua immediately thought of Cui Hongshan's pain and narrowed his eyes. So what if she has feelings for him? Today, I will kill Tu Hong and extinguish your thoughts. I would like to see where you will go from here. Let's go! Xiao Hua clapped his hands and kept the green flying sword into his space. His entire body was like a real flying sword as he soared into the night sky. Quick, Qin Jian wants to escape! Qian Mo saw this and shouted loudly. This bastard dared to rush into my sky patrol city today. He is really challenging my bottom line. If I let him escape, my Dao sect will lose all face. Tu Hong's eyes saw that Xiao Hua had easily escaped from the battle and did not even put his magic treasure in his eyes. He already knew that he was not Xiao Hua's opponent. He was puzzled as to why Xiao Hua did not kill him and secretly wondered if his words had moved Xiao Hua. At this moment, when he heard Qian Mo's shouts, his eyes looked as though he wanted to reach out and strangle Qian Mo to death. Ha ha ha! Xiao Hua flew into the air and clapped his hands. Yu Ming's corpse floated into the air. Tu Hong, although you killed tens of thousands of my swordsmen at Mount Quanjin and I have always regarded you as a great enemy, I do not look down on you because of this. In fact, I even respect you from the bottom of my heart. I know that you are a strategist general, just like me. If it were not for the difference in our sword Dao, I would really like to drink and chat with you. I have long heard that you are going to conduct a dual cultivation ceremony. Today, I have the time to come and give you a big gift. However, I accidentally discovered your secret. Haha, this girl is called Yu Ming, right? Is she your former lover? In order to revive her, you actually used the life of an innocent girl from the Imperial Thunder sect to exchange for her? Furthermore, how did the Dao sect disciples at Mount Quanjin offend you? It was just that someone accidentally discovered this secret. You actually killed all of them at Mount Quanjin. At this point, Tu Hong's expression was completely distorted as he channeled all the magic power in his body and rushed into the sky. At the same time, the triangular magic treasure shot out rays of light. At the same time, the defensive array on the left flashed, and the dozen rays of light forced Xiaohua to fly again. Fellow Taoists, do not listen to Qin Jian's filthy words. I don't know where he got the corpse from, but he wants to pour dirty water on me. Tu Hong naturally did not admit to it, and said anxiously, if we form an array to kill this beast, it will be a great merit. Even if we can't kill him, we must trap him. The city lord will be here soon. Everyone was listening with interest, but with Tu Hong's shout, they immediately sobered up and flew over. They slapped their storage bags and prepared to take out their magic treasures to trap Xiaohua. -8. Chapter 2450. Damn it! Xiaohua sighed. He knew that he wasn't as eloquent as Tu Hong, but he didn't expect the difference to be so great. Tu Hong was able to erase everything with a single sentence, and even incite a group of cultivators to attack him. Go! Xiaohua rolled his eyes and flung Yu Meng's corpse towards Jianmo. Tu Hong was overjoyed when he saw that Xiaohua had actually thrown Yu Meng away. His body involuntarily flew over to catch Yu Meng. However, he stopped after a slight sway. He was very clear that he absolutely could not get close to Yu Meng right now. Otherwise, everything he had done would be exposed. Fellow Taoist Qian, quickly catch that corpse. This old man has a clear conscience. I still have to report this matter to the city lord. Tu Hong shouted anxiously. Oh, Jianmo saw a corpse flying towards him. It looked exactly the same as Dui Qiming, who was not far from him. He couldn't help but mutter in his heart. He had the heart to not accept it, but Tu Hong said it again. He could only wave his hand and that corpse changed direction and flew towards Dui Qiming. Qiming, keep this! Yes, Dui Qiming was shocked when she saw the other her flying towards her. Under the moonlight, her face was as white as snow. Wasn't that the real her? In an instant, Dui Qiming was enlightened. Her face was as white as a sheet. All her previous emotions were blown away by fear. She had already thought it through. This Tu Hong must be like what Qin Jian had said. He must have such a plan. Otherwise, he wouldn't have favored an unknown disciple of the Imperial Lightning Sect when Dui Qiming caught Yu Meng's corpse. Xiaohua laughed wildly in the sky. I have never thought of winning against cultivators like you. Your eloquence is definitely one of the best spiritual artifacts in the Dawn Rain continent. Today, I am here to give Tu Hong a big gift. As he spoke, Xiaohua clapped his hand and took out an unremarkable storage pouch. Quick! Xiaohua formed a sword seal with his hand, and from within the storage pouch, 7 ice-cold and slightly red sword lights flew out in succession. That light red sword light flew into the air like a dancing dragon. With a whistling sound, it surrounded Tu Hong, who was several jang away from Xiaohua. Ah! Tu Hong was obviously shocked by the sword formation. The 7 rays of sword light landed in the shape of the Big Dipper. Although the 7 rays of sword light did not move in the slightest, the tip of the sword was pointing at his body. The cold intent from the tip of the sword firmly froze him in place. An indescribable fear and trepidation rose from the bottom of Tu Hong's heart. This truly made him feel incredulous. He was a golden core cultivator. His Tao heart was much stronger than that of Foundation establishment and Qi refining cultivators. Therefore, it was impossible for an illusory swordsman to affect his Tao heart. Quick! Xiaohua saw Tu Hong's face gradually turn pale, and many Jindan cultivators' magic treasures and other items whizzed out. He knew that with such a big commotion in Tu Hong's residence, Shui Yuzhenren could definitely appear at any time. Since he could not expose Tu Hong's scheme, he could only kill him. If he didn't use the wishful staff, Xiaohua could only place his hopes on the 7 stars Great Array. As Xiaohua activated the Great Array, a powerful restrictive force was born from the 7 stars Great Array, firmly trapping Tu Hong. Ah! Tu Hong's deathly pale face turned dark red. The 3 rhombus magic treasure that was previously suspended in midair also fell into his hands. The 3-colored brilliance on the magic treasure was abnormally bright, protecting Tu Hong. However, the three-colored brilliance was distorted like smoke, which was enough to show the strength of the 7 stars' great array's confinement power. I am afraid it won't work. Xiao Hua's control of the 7 stars' great array was not as smooth as that of a swordsman. He did not dare to reveal his Dao sect cultivation, so he could not help but sigh. He knew that he had the heart but was powerless. Thinking about this, Xiao Hua's figure flew into the great array. He wanted to take advantage of this moment to make a final gamble. Seeing Xiao Hua rushing over, Tu Hong was also greatly alarmed. Stretching out his hand, a spirit talisman appeared in his hand. Exerting a little force, the spirit talisman shattered, and an unparalleled ice intent rushed into the air. Shui Yuzhinen! Xiao Hua groaned. He knew that the talisman in Tu Hong's hand was from the Snow Region sage. The nascent soul cultivators of the Sky Patrol City would be here in a moment. Moreover, Qing Bai and the others had already taken out their magic treasures. Numerous rays of light of various colors were also attacking Xiao Hua from above. The powerful force had already pierced through the air and into Xiao Hua's skin. Forget it! Xiao Hua waved his hand and was about to drive the sword pouch back into the 7 flying swords to prepare to escape. But at this moment, Tu Hong, who was inside the 3-colored light barrier, suddenly went crazy. He stretched out his hand and tore off his Taoist robe, revealing his naked body. His body was full of scars, but these scars were covered by thick black hair at the same time. What can you vengeful spirits do to me? This old man is going to kill all of you. So what? You are the disciples of the Sky Patrol City. Your life and death are no longer up to you. Using you as bait is only right. But just as Tu Hong said a few words, he crawled in the air and cried, Yu Meng, I'm sorry. Oh no, spare me. I'll be a sitting cow in my next life. Oh my God! Is this guy crazy? Xiao Hua was stunned, and the sword in his hand also stopped. At this time, Tu Hong could no longer resist the horror in his heart. That was the power of karma of tens of thousands of vengeful spirits. After all, it was not something a golden core cultivator could resist. Tu Hong had lost his Tao heart. His eyes were immediately filled with blood, and he felt as if he was being roasted in a bloody fire. At first, he could still force himself to be calm and make some arguments, but later on, he could no longer control himself and cried bitterly. Kill! Xiao Hua also came to his senses for a moment. His body suddenly accelerated, and he waved his hand in front of him. 64 green and red sword lights were waved from Xiao Hua's hand, piercing towards Tu Hong from 64 directions. At first glance, it was simply a sea of flying swords. It was fine if the dream executioner did not appear, but Tu Hong was still crazy and seemed to be unable to control himself. Once the dream executioner appeared, it was as if a sky full of karma rushed into his heart, and he collapsed in an instant. He was completely like a mortal who had lost his mind, standing in the air blankly, his eyes lifeless, waiting to be slaughtered. Puff, puff, puff! The dream executioner did not let Tu Hong down. With a flick of its finger, it pierced through Tu Hong's naked body, and the defensive brilliance turned into paper paste under the innate gold qi. Seeing the blood splattering in Tu Hong's death, his eyes flashed with a trace of clarity, and even a trace of gratitude and relief. Thank. Xiao Hua could even faintly hear this word in his ears. However, he only heard it. At this time, a powerful and angry divine sense swept over from outside the Sky Patrol City. Damn it, the Shui Region Enlightened Master is here! Xiao Hua's Buddhist consciousness had always been released. How could he not know this familiar nascent soul divine sense? Withdraw! Xiao Hua's figure was inside the 7 stars great array, and he relied on the power of the array to block the magical treasures of several golden core adepts. Moreover, there were more golden core adepts coming over, and there were even nascent soul adepts who could kill him with a raise of their hands. He stretched out his hand and very familiarly put away Tu Hong's storage bag and magical treasures. Then, he opened the sword pouch and put away the 7 flying swords. His figure flashed and rushed into the sky. Like a sharp sword, he broke through the defensive restriction of Tu Hong's residence, and his figure disappeared in midair. The moment Xiao Hua's figure disappeared, the divine sense of the Shui region enlightened master arrived. Although the divine sense missed, it continued to move forward. It even swept through the entire Tu Hong's residence, and rushed into the ground of the Sky Patrol City. However, in a flash, the divine sense disappeared again. After a few moments, an overwhelming pressure was emitted from somewhere in the Sky Patrol City. Then, a rainbow streaked across the night sky and landed somewhere in the Sky Patrol City. The figure of the Shui region enlightened master flashed faintly in the rainbow. His entire figure was not visible, and he only paused for a moment. The rainbow emitted a yellow light, and the Shui region enlightened master rushed into the ground of the Sky Patrol City. The Shui region enlightened master was really angry. He never thought that sword adepts would attack him in his Sky Patrol City, and he was careless enough to fall into their trap. Tu Hong's death was not only the death of a golden core adept, but also the loss of face of a nascent soul adept. If he did not capture the swordsman who attacked Tu Hong, how could he still have face? However, the sword essence revealed by the swordsman happened to be at the edge of his divine thought. When he discovered the talisman sent out by Tu Hong, his divine thought could only scan the Sky Patrol City. He did not even find any trace of Xiaohua. He could only follow Xiaohua's faint spiritual power fluctuations to find him. Xiaohua, who was used to playing hide and seek with nascent soul adepts, would not give the Shui region enlightened master any chance. With a few wind elemental escape, a few earth elemental escape, and the demonic cultivator's concealment technique, Xiaohua had already escaped. Rise! The Shui region enlightened master rushed out from the ground like a rainbow-colored ray of light. He suddenly flew up into the sky and stretched out his hands like an overlord lifting a cauldron. His hands emitted a milky white light. Along with the brilliance, ripples appeared and covered the entire Sky Patrol City in an instant. Whoosh! The net of light that was like a fishing net was thrown down like a thunderbolt, and it went straight to the ground. However, in just a few breaths of time, the light turned around and rushed toward the Shui region enlightened master. Woo! Like the howling of a hurricane, a brilliant light danced around Sage Shui's body and completely covered him. It was like a thick cocoon of light. Go! The Shui region enlightened master shouted, and all the light turned into strands of light again and flew in all directions of the Sky Patrol City. Within the strands of light, one could vaguely see the light of plum blossoms. Damn it, nascent soul adepts are really powerful! Just as the Shui region enlightened master was using his divine sense to search the entire area, Xiaohua, who did not dare to stay in the Sky Patrol City for too long, escaped into the Imperial Thunder Sex Station when the Shui region enlightened master's divine sense stopped. Playing hide and seek with the Sky Patrol City in the Sky Patrol City would be suicidal. -8. Chapter 2451. Let that old man from Shui you have a headache. Xiaohua smiled as he appeared in the quiet room. He immediately sat down cross-legged as though nothing had happened. Tonight's encounter had really shocked him. Although he wanted to kill Tu Hong, there were so many twists and turns in the process. Even in the end, he could easily kill Tu Hong as though he was stabbing a sword. This was something he had never dreamt of. No matter what kind of gold core cultivator you are, under the negative karma of tens of thousands of vengeful spirits, you are just an ordinary person. Xiaohua's heart still had not calmed down. He even had a feeling that the feeling he had in the great array of Mount Quanjin might not be Xiao Mao or Diu Aichiming. Perhaps it was the vengeful spirits of the swordsmen and cultivators who had been killed by Tu Hong. The way of karma. It is indeed marvelous, Xiaohua thought as his mind entered the space. He saw the primordial spirit in the hand of karma. Although it was not very big, it was extremely clear. Almost every stripe could be seen. Xiaohua felt something in his heart. Without any hesitation, he threw his mind into that strand of primordial spirit. An incomparably cool feeling filled Xiaohua's mind. It was as if he was a swimming fish, as if he was that strand of light, as if he was that speck of dust in the mortal world. The brilliance of the tracing light also became increasingly brilliant. The heavenly Tao starry sky also faintly emitted rumbling sounds. Xiaohua's mind swam through the boundless ocean, through the boundless earth, through the long river of time, through the flourishing mortal world. Unlike Xiaohua, who had relieved himself of a heavy burden, the gold core cultivators in Tu Hong's residence all looked at each other. Their hearts were heavy, and they did not know what to do. I only came to congratulate Tu Hong, but I just wanted to flatter the Shuiyu spiritual master. I really did not expect to encounter such a situation. Almost every cultivator felt bitter. Not only did Qin Jian break through the heavily guarded Sky Patrol City, but he also killed a mid-stage Golden Core cultivator. Even the Sky Patrol City Lord did not have time to save him. This is even more terrifying than Qin Jian's earlier provocation. Moreover, as the Gold Core cultivators pondered, they suddenly felt a wave of lingering fear. Right, how did Xiaohua kill Tu Hong? It was when the group of Gold Core cultivators unleashed their magic treasures and chased after Xiaohua. It was when Tu Hong completely activated his magic power, causing the life source magic treasure of the middle Gold Core cultivator to emit a dozen rays of light. It was when Tu Hong activated the defensive formation of the mansion in an attempt to kill Xiaohua. Xiaohua brought out a sword formation. Not to mention that Xiaohua's figure was like a ghost, chasing after Tu Hong like a shadow amidst the brilliance of the magical treasures. Not to mention that an illusory swordsman was actually able to use a sword array, and not to mention that once the sword array was activated, Tu Hong was trapped inside, and Tu Hong was unable to resist at all. Just Tu Hong's unimaginable madness when he was trapped in the sword formation was enough to strike fear into the hearts of all the cultivators. What kind of method was this? It was almost enough to kill an intermediate Gold Core stage cultivator with a single blow. Qin Jian's cultivation had already far surpassed an ordinary third-grade illusory swordsman, and he was already on the verge of transforming into a sword. A group of Gold Core cultivators actually besieged an illusory swordsman. Now that they thought about it, they trembled with fear. If not for Qin Jian's fear of Shuiyu's sage, I'm afraid that they would have also fallen into Qin Jian's sword formation. That terrifying sword formation was simply an instant kill. The green and red flying swords were like a bladeless youth. Without any hindrance, they silently cut off a young girl's youth. Tu Hong's defensive formation was simply unable to withstand the sharpness of the flying swords. Tu Hong's ambition and infatuation were all gone with the wind in a snap of a finger. However, the Gold Core cultivators only felt a moment of lingering fear. Immediately after, they saw Shuiyu's sage use his magical powers to activate the formation of Shuiyu's city to search for Qin Jian. Their faces were as white as snow, and they began to feel fear in their hearts. However, although they were afraid, none of them dared to move. All of them quietly waited in the air above Tu Hong's mansion, waiting for Shuiyu's orders. Only one person's face was filled with extreme fear. Her originally slightly flushed face was now abnormally pale. This person was none other than Diyu Aiqiming. Shock, regret, and enlightenment alternated in her eyes. At the same time, she was extremely puzzled as she looked at the corpse in her hands that was almost identical to her. Not far away from Diyu Aiqiming was naturally the self-righteous Qian Mo. His face was extremely awkward. Even though Tu Hong didn't admit it until his death, didn't that mean that Qin Jian wasn't lying? Since Tu Hong was preparing to take Diyu Aiqiming's soul, then what kind of role did he play? If this matter was known by others, how would he face himself? Sure enough, in the time it took to brew a cup of tea, the dazzling brilliance above Shuiyu's city gradually disappeared. This brilliance had already attracted countless cultivators to fly out from their resting places to see what was happening. However, the pressure of Shuiyu's sage covered the entire Shuiyu's city. They only poked their heads out and then lost interest. They obediently stayed in their resting places, not daring to move. When Shuiyu's figure disappeared, the pressure was also completely gone. The disciples of Shuiyu had already appeared in groups, patrolling the streets of Shuiyu's city. Even some gold-core disciples of Shuiyu's city flew into the air with strange expressions on their faces. They urged their disciples to search for Qin Jian, while they dealt with cultivators that ordinary disciples could not deal with. As for Shuiyu's sage, he turned into a rainbow and landed beside the pagoda. With a slight grasp of his hand, the entire pagoda was lifted up by him. With a rumbling sound, the pagoda fell down and the array formation was also destroyed, revealing the space where the crystal coffin was originally. But at this time, besides Lan Xian's corpse, there was nothing else. There was no trace of her at all. Shuiyu waved his hand and Lan Xian's corpse flew into the air. Shuiyu narrowed his eyes and looked at it for a moment. Then, he waved his hand again and Tu Hong's corpse also flew over, joining Lan Xian's corpse. After a moment, Shuiyu waved his sleeve and the two corpses fell into the dust. Then, he looked at the crowd of gold core cultivators, who were trembling with fear. "What is going on here?" Shuiyu finally spoke. This was the first time Shuiyu had spoken since returning to Shuiyu's city. His voice was filled with anger. Qing Bai Yunqin and the others looked at each other, not daring to speak. This was Tu Hong's scandal. Who knew what Shuiyu's plan was? If he heard this, then whoever dared to speak would be the first to die. Seeing that no one dared to speak, Shuiyu grinned and said, "It seems that this old man, Senior, this is what happened." A soft and clear voice sounded out. It was Diu Aiqiming, who was still holding on to Yu Ming's corpse. Shuiyu's eyes flashed with a fierce light, as if he wanted to dig out a piece of Diu Aiqiming's flesh. Of course, this was under the condition that he didn't understand the reason behind it. When he heard Diu Aiqiming narrate the whole story without leaving out a single detail, his gaze was as sharp as a sword. It was as if he wanted to stab Diu Aiqiming, and Tu Hong with 64 fatal sword scars. Diu Aiqiming remained calm in the face of the Snow Domain Enlightened Master's undisguised killing intent. She bowed gracefully and said, "This junior is an unlucky person. I was originally in love with my Imperial Lightning Sect's disciple, Cui Hongshan. However, Cui Hongshan followed me to Mt. Quanjin and was buried in the array. At that time, this junior's heart was like dying embers and I didn't want to give myself to anyone else. However, this junior took into account that Senior Tu Hong had contributed greatly to my Dao sect and killed thousands of Huan country's swordsmen at Golden Spring Mountain. This junior took revenge for Cui Hongshan and fulfilled this junior's wish. Thus, this junior agreed to perform the dual cultivation ceremony with Senior Tuesday. Tonight's matter was too sudden. This junior doesn't know if this matter is true. However, looking at Yu Ming in this junior's hands, this junior is filled with sorrow. Although she is already dead, Tu Hong racked his brains for her and used unscrupulous means to resurrect her. But what about this junior? I am all alone with no one to rely on. I can't even find Cui Hongshan's corpse. Senior Tu Hong's actions may be disgraceful or heinous in the eyes of others, but in the eyes of this junior and other female cultivators, he is a true lover. To be honest, even if this matter is true, this junior doesn't have any resentment. This junior doesn't resent Tu Hong. Actually, if he had directly told this junior about this matter, this junior wouldn't have hesitated to agree. Because this junior's heart is already dead and gone with Cui Hongshan. Rather than letting this junior's body wither away with my heart, this junior would rather give Tu Hong a living Yu Meng. Thus, this junior earnestly requests that this junior be allowed to bury Yu Meng's corpse together with Tu Hong. This junior also requests that Senior's disciples bury this junior at Golden Spring Mountain. Even if this junior can't be buried together with Cui Hongshan, this junior wants to look at Cui Hongshan's corpse as I sleep. Hiss. The group of golden core cultivators couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air when they heard Diu Aiqiming's words. They thought that the one who hated Tu Hong the most was Diu Aiqiming. Who would have thought that Diu Aiqiming didn't hate Tu Hong at all and treated this matter as nothing? This was simply inconceivable. This simply didn't make any sense. The group of golden core cultivators were all flabbergasted as a saying appeared in their minds. A woman's heart is like a needle at the bottom of the sea. There were also female cultivators among the Golden Core cultivators, and Qingbai was one of them. She was also moved when she heard this, but when she saw Shui Yu's thoughtful expression, a trace of hope appeared in her heart. She didn't dare to say anything in fear of angering Shui Yu. Little girl. Is this true? Shui Yu said coldly. Sigh. Dui Qiming smiled bitterly. This junior's heart is withered. Senior, please take this Yu Meng away and this junior will go find Chui Hongshan. Dui Qiming waved her hand and Yu Meng's corpse flew into the air. With a flip of her hand, her jade-like palm hit her own forehead as she called out. Chui Hongshan, this concubine is coming for you. -8. Chapter 2452. Humph. Just as Dui Qiming's hand was about to hit her own forehead, Perfected Shui sneered. Dui Qiming's hand froze in midair. Your Chui Lang is in the Imperial Lightning Sect's encampment. How are you going to find him if you're dead? Perfected Shui waved his sleeves and Yu Meng's corpse flew back. Bury Yu Meng's corpse together with Tu Hong's corpse. Then you can go find your Chui Lang. This old man does not want to see you in Sky Patrol City ever again. What? Chui Lang, he's still alive? Dui Qiming could not believe her ears. She was completely stunned. Of course, in her heart, there was a flash of hope. However, Sage Shui no longer paid any attention to her. His figure gradually turned into a ray of light, and a cold voice was transmitted into the ears of the Golden Core cultivators. Tu Hong was killed by Qin Jian. You all saw it with your own eyes. We Dao sect cultivators have one more blood feud. You all must do your best to kill Qin Jian. Furthermore, even if Tu Hong made a mistake in the matter at Jishan Quan, he should have done 60% of the work. This old man does not want to hear any rumors. Do you understand? Yes, we understand. Everyone was overjoyed and bowed in unison. Before they could get up, Perfected Shui had already flown away. There was no trace of him at all. We were lucky! Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. They looked at each other and nodded slightly. Without any greetings, they flew into the meeting hall. Senior Uncle Qian. Seeing that Qian Mo was about to fly away, Dui Qiming called out anxiously. What's the matter? Qian Mo turned around indifferently. Oh, nothing. Dui Qiming saw Qian Mo's expression and immediately understood that he must know that Chui Hongshan had returned to Sky Patrol City. However, he had always seen her. Why didn't he say anything earlier? Since he did not say anything earlier, how could she ask him now? This disciple would like senior uncle to change Tu Hong's trusted subordinate to come over so that I can carry out Perfected Shui's orders properly. Dui Qiming thought quickly and said respectfully. This old man understands. Qian Mo nodded slightly. You did well. Since it's an order from Perfected Shui, we will naturally do it well. Just you wait. With that, Qian Mo turned around and flew away, leaving Dui Qiming behind. Tu Hong's corpse fell beside the ruins of the pagoda. Looking at this imposing man, Dui Qiming couldn't feel any resentment. What she said to the Snow Region sage was the truth. She knew that if she was in his shoes, she might have made the same choice. Placing Yu Meng's corpse beside Tu Hong, Dui Qiming had a strange feeling in her heart. It was as if she was lying there, and a peaceful feeling filled her heart. Dui Qiming's heart immediately went on alert. Why do I have such a feeling? Who was this Yu Meng? How could she look exactly like me? Don't tell me. Thinking up to this point, Dui Qiming sighed again. Sigh, even if Yu Meng is related to me in some way, I'm afraid I can't investigate it. Shui Yu's spiritual master made it clear that I can't come to Sky Patrol City in the future, and I can't investigate Yu Meng's origins. Otherwise, Chui Lang and I will have to worry about our lives. Immediately, Dui Qiming's heart was filled with joy. Chui Lang, he really survived? Junior brother Xiao is really a god. I don't know how they managed to escape the spirit Howl Array under Xiaohua's protection. Unlike Dui Chimeng's surprise, Shui Yu's figure landed in the city lord's mansion. In the huge palace, Shui Yu frowned. Qin Jian? Isn't that the swordsman on the bounty? I vaguely saw it outside the Sky Scout city just now. That guy had already fled in panic. How could he appear in Sky Patrol City? Besides, Qin Jian is only a third-grade illusory sword cultivator. How could he hide from my eyes and ears? However, the sword wounds on Lan Xian and Tu Hong's bodies are real. That sword array can't be used by a swordsman. Could it be that a swordsman broke into my Sky Patrol City? It's just that, even if it's a swordsman, it's impossible for him to disappear under my nose. Thinking of this, Shui Yu's eyelids twitched. Yes, a swordsman's attack power was obviously stronger than a nascent soul cultivator. But this was Sky Patrol City. Within the array, Shui Yu was confident that he could kill a swordsman. This was also the reason why Huan Country's swordsman did not dare to invade Sky Patrol City. But today this, Qin Jian, was actually able to escape the pursuit of a nascent soul cultivator, and he did not dare to fight with a nascent soul cultivator. This was extremely abnormal. At this moment, Shui Yu raised his eyebrows as if he had thought of something. With a wave of his hand, a spirit talisman flew out of the hall. Not long after, Jin King and Fan Lengbai came together. Both of them had a grim expression, and when they saw Shui Yu's face, they became even more panicked. Jin King bowed and said, "My lord, I've been unworthy. I've searched for a long time, but I couldn't find the swordsman's whereabouts at all. And I couldn't even find a trace of him. A group of disciples patrolled the entire place, but we couldn't find any strange swordsman at all." Fan Lengbai hurriedly reported. If even I can't find him, what can you find?" Shui Yu waved his hand and said coldly, "I just wanted to see if that scoundrel could have left any clues that I could easily overlook." "Yes, I understand." Both of them heaved a sigh of relief. "I called you here to ask you some questions." Shui Yu hesitated for a moment, then said, "Among the disciples who entered Sky Patrol City over the past month, were there any strange people? I've already made a list of those who entered and left Sky Patrol City, as well as those who used the teleportation formation. Please have a look, my lord." Fan Lengbai was already prepared. He clapped his hands and took out a jade slip and handed it to Shui Yu. Shui Yu took it, glanced at it, and asked again, "Did you find anything strange?" "Okay, I'll let you know." Fan Lengbai smiled bitterly. "I've already looked through it, and there were no abnormalities. They were all disciples of various sects, and the disciples on duty in Sky Patrol City were at most at the early stage of the Gold Core realm. Take a closer look and see if any of these disciples were impersonated by the swordsman." Shui Yu nodded. "At the same time, see if there were any abnormalities outside Sky Patrol City." "Yes, I understand." Fan Lengbai bowed and replied. "By the way, Jin King, has Heavenly Demon Sect done anything recently?" Shui Yu suddenly asked. "Heavenly Demon Sect?" Jin King was slightly stunned, then shook his head and said, "Since the Sword Principal battle, Heavenly Demon Sect seem to have disappeared without a trace. I haven't received any news from them for a long time." -8. Chapter 2453. "Yes, send more people to find out more about the Heavenly Demon Sect." Shui Yu Master's face flashed with anger. "Yes, I understand. It's all my fault." Jin King hurriedly bowed and apologized. Shui Yu Master waved his sleeves and said, "It's not your fault. Now that the Sword Principal battle has made my Sky Patrol City anxious, who would care about the Heavenly Demon Sect?" "What do you mean?" Fan Lengbai took the opportunity to ask. "To tell you the truth, although the swordsman looks like Qin Jian, his escape technique is very good. He can avoid the magic treasure of a golden core cultivator. He seems to know the escape technique of the Huan Country's bird cultivator. Qin Jian is a swordsman of the Huan Country, so it's possible that he knows the escape technique of the bird cultivator. However, there seems to be traces of a demon cultivator in his disguise. If I'm not wrong, It's very likely that the Heavenly Demon sect is using the name of a sword cultivator to kill my Sky Patrol City's disciples. This will further stir up the conflict between the Taoist sect and the sword cultivators. You're wise! Fan Lengbai and Jian Qing were really impressed and replied respectfully. However, they did not know how Shuiyu Master could determine that it was not Qin Jian. However, this old man is a little puzzled. Although there were traces of the Sky Demon sect's actions during the sword battle, the various Dao sect sects had also instantly accepted the challenge. Now that the battle has already reached its climax, why is the Sky Demon sect taking the risk of being killed by this old man to stir up trouble again? Aren't they afraid of being exposed? I don't know, Jian Qing answered honestly. After I find out the whereabouts of the Heavenly Demon sect, I'll ask you to make a decision. Yes. Shuiyu Master nodded and then asked, Do you know about Tu Hong? This? Jian Qing and Fan Lengbai felt very awkward. It was impossible for them not to know about it. Although the Golden Core cultivators were warned by the Shuiyu Taoists, they had already discussed it, and made an oath to never reveal a word about it. But what about the disciples of the Sky Patrol City? How could Jian Qing and Fan Lengbai not have any confidence among them? However, they also knew that Shuiyu Master had warned them. Now that Shuiyu Master asked about it, how could they answer? Rumors stop with the wise. Shuiyu Sage looked at the sky outside the palace and said, The sky is about to brighten. A new day is about to begin. Let bygones be bygones. After that, Sage Shuiyu closed his eyes and ignored the two of them. Yes, I understand. Jian Qing and Fan Lengbai's heart trembled. They knew that the matter about Tu Hong had been classified as a rumor. Everything about Tu Hong would be forgotten by the Sky Patrol City as the sun rose. They bowed and carefully retreated. The rising sun chased away the darkness, but where did the darkness go? Under the tree? Under the eaves? In the paddy fields? Or in people's hearts? No one could say for sure, but even if the sun left, darkness would still come. In this world, light and darkness were always alternating. No one knew whether it was the light that drove away the darkness, or the darkness that drove away the light. Everyone in Sky Patrol City knew that when the first ray of sunlight shone on Sky Patrol City, the entire city was in an uproar. Not boiling with joy. It was the boiling of anger, the boiling of rage, the boiling of fear, the boiling of fear. Tu Hong, the rising gold core cultivator of Sky Patrol City, was a disciple of Sky Patrol City who was considered to be as famous as the City Lord of Sky Patrol City. For several years, Sky Patrol City had been proud of him as a hero in the war between Dao cultivators. He was also the hero who led Sky Patrol City into the meeting hall of Yanqi Mansion. He was also the planner of several battles with sword cultivators in the past few years. Last night, sword cultivator Qin Jian broke into Sky Patrol City to assassinate him. No one doubted the source of this news because last night, the pressure of a nascent soul realm cultivator had covered the entire Sky Patrol City. Every cultivator, even those who were hiding in the quiet rooms, could clearly feel the anger of Shuiyu Sage. What could make a nascent soul cultivator so angry? Last night, everyone guessed for a long time. They only received this shocking news when the night was over. Other than this, what else could it be? How did Qin Jian sneak into Sky Patrol City? How did Qin Jian kill Tu Hong? What about Tu Hong's dual cultivation ceremony? The Golden Core cultivators gathered at Tu Hong's residence to congratulate him. What are they doing? How did Qin Jian escape the pursuit of Sage Shuiyu? Is Sky Patrol City still safe? All sorts of questions and guesses came out from the mouths of the cultivators. All sorts of stories were passed from the mouths of cultivators to the ears of other cultivators, and from these cultivators to the ears of the other cultivators. There were more and more questions and guesses. There were more and more boring things that aroused people's curiosity. Then, the real truth would never be known. The so-called secrets, and secrets of this world were all like this. Especially those Golden Core cultivators who were suspected to have gone to Tu Hong's residence last night. They were not afraid of what had happened last night. When they talked about the assassination attempt on Tu Hong, They did not hide anything at all. They described it word by word, and the indignation they felt towards sword cultivators in their words made one feel that it was too much to count. This seemed to be different from what they had imagined. Almost every curious cultivator asked themselves the same question. Should they be afraid of something that would damage the reputation of the celestial sentinel city and the true master of the Shuiyu? They should be evasive. Of course, this doubt only lasted for a moment. Everyone was attracted by the strange sword formation and Qin Jian's unpredictable means. In the entire Sky Patrol City, whether it was the encampment of the various sects, the tea houses, or the various shops, everyone was talking about the battle between Qin Jian and Tu Hong. Moreover, a group of cultivators who did not participate in the battle were unprecedentedly angry. Since Qin Jian could break into Sky Patrol City to assassinate Tu Hong, why couldn't the cultivators break into Huan country to assassinate Qin Jian? All kinds of arrangements and schemes were brewing. Qin Jian had become the enemy of all cultivators. If they did not kill Qin Jian, the cultivators would be disgraced. Hearing the news from the disciples of Sky Patrol City, Jin King and Fan Lengbai's faces relaxed. This was the result they wanted. As long as the matter of Tu Hong and Yu Meng was forgotten, so what if they exaggerated the power of sword cultivators? What about Sky Patrol City's reputation and Sage Shuiyu's reputation? They had already lost it last night, so there was no need to look for it today. Unlike the uproar in Sky Patrol City and the heated discussion in the Imperial Thunder Sect's encampment, Cui Hongshan was scratching his head anxiously in the quiet room of the Imperial Thunder Sect's first team. It was rare for him to be worried about Xiaohua. This worry appeared after Sage Shuiyu released his coercion last night. The coercion of a nascent soul cultivator with the help of the Sky Patrol City's large formation could not be resisted by the Imperial Thunder Sect's encampment. Sage Shuiyu's anger was reflected in every cultivator's heart through the coercion, and Cui Hongshan was no exception. He was probably the only person in Sky Patrol City who knew the reason for Sage Shuiyu's anger. This Xiaohua. What did he do? How did he make Sage Shuiyu so angry? Cui Hongshan's heart was beating like a drum. He was uneasy, afraid that at any moment, the disciples of Sky Patrol City would break in from outside the quiet room and capture him. I only asked him to ask about Qiming's thoughts. Why did it cause so much trouble? For a moment, Cui Hongshan felt a little regretful. He felt that he should not have let Xiaohua go to Duhong's residence. Not only did he disrupt Dui Qiming's happiness, but he also brought trouble to himself. This regret, as well as his worry for Xiaohua, continued to haunt him. Only when the sky brightened and he heard some whispers outside the quiet room did Cui Hongshan sigh. He stood up and walked out of the quiet room. Sure enough, in the hall, Jin Minghui and the others had already gathered together, and were discussing in low voices. Captain Cui! Seeing Cui Hongshan come out, Jin Minghui and the others bowed. Although the 6 of them had made progress, Cui Hongshan's progress was the greatest. His cultivation was already the leader of the group. In addition to everyone's praise, Jin Minghui and the others had already regarded Cui Hongshan as the captain of the first team. Yes, Cui Hongshan nodded slightly and asked, Are you talking about the coercion last night? Yes. Jin Minghui's face was full of envy. That was the coercion of a nascent soul cultivator. Even in the quiet room, I could clearly feel it. Under that vast coercion, I really felt that I was an ant. Yes, yes. Jinhui jumped up and said excitedly. Last night, I was comprehending the cultivation method, but that coercion suddenly came, almost without any gap. I was almost scared out of my wits. If it weren't for the fact that all my senior brothers were resting, I would have definitely run out at that time. It was really too scary. Seeing that Jin Minghui and the others were fearless because of their ignorance, Cui Hongshan suddenly felt that not knowing anything was such a blissful thing. That's right, I was thinking the same thing. At that time, I really wanted to come out of the quiet room to take a look. But I was afraid that if something really happened and angered a nascent soul cultivator. Bai Sugu also said embarrassedly. At that moment, the restriction outside the hall suddenly fluctuated. Although the fluctuation was not very obvious, Chui Hongshan's heart suddenly tightened. However, when he saw the person who came in, he couldn't help but be wild with joy. An indescribable surprise welled up in his heart, and an inexplicable sadness filled his chest. Qiming. Chui Hongshan called out softly. He took 2 steps forward and stopped again. Chui Hongshan, you're still alive. Dui Qiming's face was still somewhat pale, but there was still disbelief. The moment she saw Chui Hongshan, her strong will collapsed, and she almost flew into Chui Hongshan's arms. -8. Chapter 2454. This. Chui Hongshan was extremely hesitant when he felt the familiar scent rushing into his nose. His arms were stiff. Although Dui Qiming was his previous lover, she should be Tu Han's dual cultivation partner now, right? Why did she suddenly come here? While Chui Hongshan was confused, he suddenly thought of the anger of Shui Yu's perfected being last night. An unparalleled shock drowned him like a wave. Xiaohua, this guy didn't kill Tu Hong, right? Chui Lang. Dui Qiming's tear-stained face was hidden in Chui Hongshan's embrace. She had already vaguely sensed Chui Hongshan's abnormality. Thump! Chui Hongshan's heart skipped a beat. It was like thunder in a storm. How can I know so much at this time? I have to pretend that I don't know anything. Chui Hongshan screamed in his heart, but his expression had already attracted the attention of Qian Mo, who was following behind Dui Qiming. Martial nephew Chui, your complexion doesn't look too good. What happened? Qian Mo frowned and asked. Chui Hongshan's eyes were a little panicked. He forced a smile and said apologetically, Martial Uncle Qian, what happened? Qiming, isn't Qiming at Sky Thunder Peak? Why did she suddenly appear in Sky Patrol City? This disciple is really shocked. This disciple has been yearning to see her day and night. When she suddenly appeared, this disciple thought that this was a dream. As he spoke, Chui Hongshan lifted his stiff arm and stretched out his fingers to pinch his other arm. Ouch! Even Chui Hongshan himself cried out. Idiot! Of course this isn't a dream! Dui Qiming said bitterly as she touched the bruises on Chui Hongshan's arm. I see. Qian Mo nodded slightly and didn't pursue the matter. He turned to look at Jin Minghui and the rest and said coldly, Did you all feel the nascent soul's suppression last night? Yes, we were discussing it. Jin Minghui was a little puzzled. He bowed and said, Hee, you actually waited until now to discuss it. You all are quite shrewd. Qian Mo nodded. In this case, this old man can rest assured. Remember, the dignity of a nascent soul cultivator cannot be challenged. Sometimes, not knowing is better than knowing. Not pursuing the matter is wiser than not knowing. This. Jin Minghui and the others looked at each other, then at Chui Hongshan. Chui Hongshan didn't dare to reveal any flaws as he looked at Qian Mo in confusion. Qian Mo didn't bother to explain. He just said lightly, You are the great heroes of my Imperial Thunder Sect. The rewards from Yanxi Prefecture and the Imperial Thunder Sect will be given to your sect. This old man will arrange for you to return to the Imperial Thunder Sect as soon as possible. However, Sky Sentry City was in turmoil right now and it was uncertain how long it would take. If it was fast, it could take 10 days. If it was slow, it could take dozens of days. Just wait as long as you want. Besides that, all of you are in charge of controlling the restrictions here. However, it's only limited to the Imperial Lightning Sect station. You're not allowed to take a single step out of the station. Yes, disciple understands. Jin Minghui and the others really didn't understand, but they didn't dare to ask, and could only bow. Well, take care of yourself. Qian Mo turned around and left. But before he left, he didn't forget to warn. Some rumors, it's better not to listen to them. Just remember, don't listen, don't believe, and don't spread. As he spoke, he glanced at Dui Qiming. Although he didn't transmit his voice, Dui Qiming almost nodded slightly. Obviously. Qianemo felt that the arrangement with Dui Qiming was not enough, but he couldn't say anything else. Yes. Disciple understands. Cui Hongshan understood and hurriedly walked 2 steps forward to send Qianemo off. However, he only took 1 step and Qianemo was already out of the restriction. What's going on? Zhenhuan mumbled and scratched his head. Haha, it's nothing, Dui Qiming said lightly. Last night, Qin Jian, a sword cultivator, broke into the Celestial City and killed Tu Hong, who was stationed in the Celestial City. However, the Shui region's spiritual master couldn't find any trace of Qin Jian. Ah? Jin Minghui and the others were shocked. Qin Jian actually killed his way into the Celestial City? He actually killed an early-stage golden elixir cultivator on the spot? Tu Hong is already an intermediate-stage golden elixir cultivator, Dui Qiming said lightly. Qin Jian did enter Tu Hong's mansion and assassinate him personally. Oh my! This sword cultivator is really fierce! Bai Suge clicked his tongue and exclaimed. This is a place where a nascent soul cultivator is stationed. He actually killed an intermediate-stage golden elixir cultivator and escaped unscathed. These swordsmen are going to... Senior brother Cui, you don't seem surprised at all? Bai Suge noticed Cui Hongshan's expression while exclaiming. The shock in Cui Hongshan's heart had already passed. He smiled bitterly and held Dui Qiming's hand, saying, Do you still need to say it? I knew last night that this was not a small matter. However, I still didn't expect Senior Tu to be killed. Therefore, I don't feel surprised. There are too many things to be surprised about and cherish in this world. Don't wait until you lose something before you think about it. It's already too late. After the battle at Mount Quanjin, I know what I want to protect and cherish. I've seen the love of my life. All the exclamations can only be reduced to dust and clouds. Cui Qiming. Dui Qiming's face was flushed and her heart was filled with tenderness. She only felt that her previous worries and sorrow were not in vain. This was also a chance given by the heavens to let her be with such an open-minded and loving man for the rest of her life. Hee, congratulations Captain Cui, congratulations senior sister Dui. I'm afraid that when we return to Sky Thunder Peak, the 2 of you will be able to hold the dual cultivation ceremony? Chiu Su cupped his hands and congratulated. Upon hearing the words, dual cultivation ceremony, Cui Hongshan and Dui Qiming's expressions changed greatly. Dui Qiming even looked at Cui Hongshan with some fear while Cui Hongshan was extremely embarrassed. However, Cui Hongshan quickly covered up. Sigh, let's talk about this later. Before I came to Sky Patrol City, I wanted to hold a dual cultivation ceremony with Qiming, but it was delayed by this battle. Now, I don't know if it's suitable. Hearing Cui Hongshan's words, Dui Qiming's heart was finally at ease. However, Chiu Su did not mind and said, We are now the meritorious officials of the Imperial Thunder Sect. There shouldn't be any problem for the 2 of you to hold a dual cultivation ceremony. Senior Sister Dui, Captain Cui, you must invite us to your dual cultivation ceremony. Hearing Chiu Su mention the dual cultivation ceremony, Cui Hongshan's heart tightened, but he could not say anything. He could only smile and say, Of course, of course. Where's junior brother Xiao? Dui Qiming also wanted to change the topic, but Yumu asked curiously. I heard from Marshal Uncle Qian that the 6 of you are out of danger. Don't mention junior brother Xiao. Su Qin yawned and said bleakly. He's no longer in our Imperial Thunder Sect's first team. Why is that? Dui Qiming was even more surprised. Junior brother Xiao was chosen by Li Zongbao of the Utopia faction and was recruited to be his subordinate. He went to other places to hunt down sword cultivators. Jin Minghui said enviously. Junior brother Zhao's magic power is so strong. He will definitely make a name for himself with Li Zongbao. Alas, Marshal Uncle Xiao has done his best. Bai Suge sighed. If it weren't for him, not to mention the merits now, even before we reached Sky Patrol City, we would have been killed. Yes, it's all thanks to Xiao Hua that we can live until now. Dui Qiming nodded and glanced at Cui Hongshan. I hope he can return to Sky Patrol City safely this time. At this time, Cui Hongshan had no intention of competing with Xiao Hua. He was extremely grateful to Xiao Hua. This guy not only returned safely, but also stirred up a huge storm in Sky Patrol City. If I tell you, you will be scared to death. Cui Hongshan's mind gradually became active as he turned to Dui Qiming and said tenderly, You can rest assured, Xiao. Xiao Hua is a blessed person. Even if Li Zongbao can't come back, he will be able to. Let's go, we will go out and have a look. It must be very lively outside. Zhenminghui said with a smile. Dui Qiming's face changed and she said in a low voice, You go, I won't go. I have something to tell Cui Hongshan. That's good. Zhenminghui waved his hand and was about to leave when he heard Dui Qiming exhort. Junior brother Zhen, remember, you can only listen to everything and never say anything. Remember. Oh? Zhenminghui was puzzled again. When he was about to ask, Dui Qiming took Cui Hongshan's hand and the two entered the quiet room. There were some things that were awkward to say, so it was better to let others hear it. The quiet room was completely silent as Dui Qiming recounted everything that had happened to Cui Hongshan. At that time, this concubine only knew that Cui Hongshan had already died, and the sect master had also agreed to it, so this concubine had no other choice. I can discover the oath. I have never been alone with Tu Hong in these 5 years. Seeing Dui Qiming's timid appearance, and afraid that he would misunderstand her, Cui Hongshan couldn't help but feel distressed. He really wanted to tell her what he knew and let her know that even if she chose Tu Hong, as long as she was happy, he would give her his blessings even if his heart bled. However, he couldn't say it. This was not only related to Xiao Hua's safety, but also his and Dui Qiming's safety. It was also related to the safety of the Myriad Thunder Valley. After the baptism of the Dao Cultivator battle, Cui Hongshan had become more mature. The human heart in this world was far from as simple as he thought. Cui Hongshan, you really want me to make an oath? Dui Qiming clenched her teeth slightly. No, Cui Hongshan gently pulled Dui Qiming into his arms and said with regret, How could I not trust you? If you swear this oath, where will your husband put his face? And Dui Qiming couldn't help but act coquettishly. This was a release of trust. If she really made an oath, not to mention whether Cui Hongshan would believe her, her trust in Cui Hongshan would be reduced. -8. Chapter 2455. It's all my fault. I put you in the fire pit. Cui Hongshan hugged Dui Qiming and whispered, This is my fault, not yours. Now my cultivation has improved by leaps and bounds, and I'm about to enter the middle stage of foundation establishment. In the future, my wife and I can live together and grow old together. Dui Qiming nodded habitually, but then she said in surprise, You're about to enter the middle stage of foundation establishment? As she spoke, she sensed with her spell and knew that Cui Hongshan was telling the truth. She smiled like a flower and congratulated him. Congratulations, my husband. I didn't expect that after 5 years, my husband's cultivation has surpassed mine. What? Your husband has surpassed your cultivation, and you're still happy? Yes, the higher my husband's cultivation, the happier I am, Dui Qiming said with a smile. The two of them were affectionate for a while, but Dui Qiming didn't tell Cui Hongshan about Yu Meng. She had decided to bury this matter in the bottom of her heart. Oh? Junior brother Zhen, the 5 of them have improved their cultivation? Dui Qiming was even more shocked as she chatted with Cui Hongshan. What about junior brother Xiao? Isn't he even more powerful? Haha, Zhenhua and Baisugu have both entered the foundation establishment under Xiaohua's protection. Xiaohua also joined forces with the disciples of the Utopia faction to kill many bright swordsmen. Cui Hongshan said excitedly. The cultivation of the 6 of us has improved a lot. Xiaohua can't see it in such a short time. Captain Cui. At this moment, Jinhua's voice came from outside the quiet room. He seemed to be extremely excited. What's wrong? Cui Hongshan felt a little strange as he accompanied Dui Qiming out. He felt a little apprehensive in his heart. After all, if there wasn't anything important, Jinhua and the others wouldn't disturb him. Even in the situation last night, they didn't make a fuss. Master's Uncle Xiao is back! Master's Uncle Xiao is back! Jinhua pulled Cui Hongshan's sleeve and said, Just now, we met a disciple on patrol. Senior brother Minghui couldn't help but inquire about him. Who knew that Master's Uncle Xiao had already returned to Patrol City yesterday? He should be resting somewhere in the encampment, right? Ah? This guy came back yesterday? Why don't you come back here to rest? Cui Hongshan pretended to be surprised. Jinhua stole a glance at Dui Qiming and whispered, Senior sister should have already told you, right? This disciple feels that. She might be afraid that we would find out about what happened outside. Dui Qiming's face turned bright red. And don't mention this matter again in the future. Cui Hongshan waved his hand and smiled. Qiming, why don't you come with me to see Xiao Hua? This concubine. Dui Qiming shook her head. This concubine shouldn't appear in the Imperial Thunder Sect's encampment for now. Let's talk about it after we return to the sect. All right. It's been hard on you, Qiming. Cui Hongshan held Dui Qiming's hand and comforted her. Everything will be fine. This concubine understands. Dui Qiming nodded and watched as the two left the hall. Outside the prohibition spell, it was a sunny day. The golden sun shone brightly on Sky Patrol City as if it was eager to find out the truth of what happened last night in Sky Patrol City. Captain Cui! Jin Minghui and the others had been waiting not far away. Their excited faces carried a trace of anger, but they were obviously burying this anger in the bottom of their hearts. Have you found the place where Xiao Hua is resting? Cui Hongshan nodded slightly and asked. And it's not far away. Jin Minghui pointed at a rather remote place over there, where two aura-refining disciples were on guard. He said in a low voice, Look, in order to deceive us, even Junior Marshal Brother Xiao separated from us. Don't mention this matter in the future, don't mention it. Cui Hongshan smiled bitterly, and waved his hand. Then, several people walked to the two chi-refining disciples and cupped their hands. We're from the first team of the Imperial Thunder Sect. Xiao Hua is our senior brother. Please summon Xiao Hua to meet us. The first team of the Imperial Thunder Sect? The two disciples were stunned. They looked at each other and bowed. Greetings, Marshal Uncles. And do you want to check the token? Cui Hongshan took out his token and was about to hand it to the two. There's no need. And chi-refining disciple's face turned red and hurriedly waved his hand. It's not that I don't want to let you in, but Marshal Uncle Xiao has already told us yesterday that he wants to meditate, and no one is to disturb him. Oh? No way. He still needs to meditate? Jin Minghui laughed. I'm afraid you won't pass the message to him. He was now very clear that during these days when he and the others returned to Sky Patrol City, they were completely confused by the disciples of the Imperial Thunder Sect and could not get any information at all. Xiao Hua should be in the same situation at this time, right? Of course not. The disciple hurriedly explained. The martial uncles on duty previously had this intention, but we can't disrespect them. However, half an hour ago, there was an order to let Marshal Uncle Xiao in and out. But Marshal Uncle Xiao is meditating now. Even if we want to inform Marshal Uncle of this order, we can't, the other disciple said with difficulty. Since you can't do it, then let me do it. Jin Minghui was a little impolite. When he came out just now, he had already inquired about the matter clearly. They were the first team of the Imperial Thunder Sect, a meritorious team, but they were actually fooled by others. They were under house arrest in the quiet room for so long, but they still pretended to be in a good mood and intoxicated state. How could he not be angry? Yes. Seeing this, the two disciples took a step back and did not interfere. Senior brother Minghui! Cui Hongshan suddenly thought of a possibility, and hurriedly stopped him. Since Xiaohua has come back, he must be safe. We don't have to be too anxious. Let's wait for him to come out by himself. Oh? Jin Minghui raised his eyebrows thoughtfully and whispered. Captain Chui, you mean? Junior brother Zhao's cultivation is going to improve again? Yes. Chui Hongshan naturally did not think so, but he could only say so. Yes, that day when we came out of the Mount Quanjin array, our cultivation improved greatly, but Xiaohua was not particularly conspicuous. I think you must have some enlightenment after going out here, so you went into seclusion to meditate? Okay, then of course we won't disturb you. Jin Minghui nodded and even lowered his voice for fear of disturbing the digestive tract cultivation. He said, Let's go back first. We'll talk again in a few days. A few days later, the rumors in Sky Patrol City did not seem to stop. Instead, they became more and more intense. Many Golden Core cultivators came after hearing the news and formed different teams. They either discussed how to kill Qin Jian in Sky Patrol City, or they already had a plan. They used the teleportation formation or flew out of Sky Patrol City directly to Huan Country to look for a sword cultivator. Looking at the first team of the Imperial Thunder Sect, it was the same as before and did not attract much attention. This made Chui Hongshan and the others very gratified. They already knew about Dui Qiming's experience and felt deep sympathy for her. They did not want her to cause any more trouble, especially some unpleasant rumors. Furthermore, Chui Hongshan had asked Dui Qiming about it and knew that Qin Jian had killed Tu Hong with ease. He had also dodged the magical treasures of several Golden Core cultivators without suffering any injuries. Thus, he was able to put his heart at ease. On the evening of the fourth day, as usual, Chui Hongshan, Jin Minghui and the other 5 people came to the quiet room where Xiaohua was resting. The 2 disciples on duty were already very familiar with them. They bowed from afar and said, Marshal Uncle Chui, Marshal Uncle Jin, Marshal Uncle Xiao, there is still no news from him. Who are they? Just when Chui Hongshan and the others were slightly disappointed and were about to leave, a light flashed not far from the next door, and 3 female disciples in the late stage of Foundation Establishment walked out from the restriction. One of the disciples in the middle stage of Foundation Establishment with slightly dark skin and a pair of triangular eyes frowned and asked coldly, Okay, Uncle Kun knows. The Qi Refinement disciple did not dare to be negligent and hurriedly bowed. This is Captain Chui Hongshan of the Imperial Thunder Sect's first team, and the other Uncle Masters of the Shocking Thunder Palace. Oh? Hearing this, the 3 female cultivators' eyes flashed with curiosity, but there was also a trace of ridicule in this curiosity. So, you are the first team of the Imperial Thunder Sect? The late-stage Foundation Establishment female cultivator said frivolously, her white hair fluttering in the wind as she spoke. We don't dare, we are the disciples of the first team of the Imperial Thunder Sect. Chui Hongshan did not feel that there was anything wrong and walked forward with cupped hands. May I know which Thunder Palace you 3 senior sisters are from? Which Thunder Palace? Hee, we are not from the Converting Thunder Palace. The dark and skinny female cultivator from before covered her mouth and laughed. Yes. We don't have the appearance, the figure, and the innate charm of a fox. How could we be disciples of the Converting Thunder Palace? How could we join the first team of the Imperial Thunder Sect? How could we survive in the great array where tens of thousands of cultivators died? The other fair-skinned mid-stage Foundation Establishment female cultivator also mocked. Otherwise, I would be a great contributor to the Imperial Thunder Sect now, and we would also be rewarded by the sect master. That's not all. The dark and skinny female cultivator continued. How could such a person get merit when he returned to the Sky Patrol City before the Great Array was set up? Anyone with a brain would know how this merit was obtained. I can't rely on the beauty of a female cultivator to win the favor of others. Can you do it even if you take it? The fair-skinned female cultivator did not wait for the other female cultivator to finish and continued. You don't have a dual cultivation partner, so how could someone give you to a Golden Core cultivator? Stop dreaming. You. Jin Minghui's eyes were almost burning with anger. He already understood that these 3 female cultivators were clearly mocking his thunder-controlling sex-first team. They relied on Dui Chiming's beauty to establish a relationship with Tu Hong. Because of this, they were able to survive, and because of this, they were able to obtain rewards and merits. What about me? The late-stage Foundation establishment female cultivator who was originally covering her mouth and laughing scolded when she heard Zhen Minghui's anger. -8. Chapter 2456. The late-stage Foundation establishment female cultivator scolded. Don't you know how to salute a senior sister from the Earthly Thunder Palace? Can't we teach you a lesson? You Earthly Thunder Palace's male disciples look decent, how are you all spineless? So what if you die on the battlefield? You're just going to die on the battlefield. Look at you now, you're being scolded by thousands of people. If you knew this would happen, why did you do it in the first place? Since you did it in the first place, why do you care about being scolded now? Scolding you is considered light. I have to punish you on behalf of your master. As she spoke, the late-stage Foundation establishment female cultivator raised her hand, and a spell surrounded the 6 of them. Senior Sister Kuan. Shui Hongshan was shocked. What are you doing? Shui Hongshan struggled with all his might, but the 6 of them could not break free. What am I doing? The female cultivator raised her hand and was about to slap them. She said, I came to Sky Patrol City yesterday, and I've already heard of your filthy words. Today, I'm going to thank you, senior sister. Shui Hongshan was anxious. That's just rumors. But how could the female cultivator listen? With a wave of her hand, 6 palm shadows flew out and slapped toward Shui Hongshan and the other 5's faces. Humph! So impressive, so ferocious, so powerful. At this moment, a cold mocking voice sounded from behind the female cultivator. Then, a shadow flashed, and a dozen fireballs appeared around the female cultivator. Who? The female cultivator was slightly stunned. The voice appeared too suddenly, and the shadow flew too fast. Her divine telekinesis did not manage to detect it. However, she only shouted that one word, and immediately exclaimed, You! How dare you! Then, her figure flew up into the sky quickly, no longer caring about Shui Hongshan and the other 5. Below her, the 2 mid-stage Foundation establishment female cultivators also flew up. Rumble! There was a deafening explosion. A dozen fireballs danced in the air, affecting everything within 100 feet. The dark-skinned female cultivator flew a little slower, but at the same time, the brilliance under her feet was extinguished, and a large piece of her Taoist robe was torn off. What's going on? The sound was too loud, and the patrolling disciples on duty had already flown over from afar. On the other side of Xiaohua's meditation room, a golden core cultivator also walked out with a frown. Eh? Xiaohua! With a glance, that cultivator saw Xiaohua standing firmly on the ground. He really raised both of his hands, like a hen protecting her chicks, blocking Shui Hongshan and the others behind him. How dare you! When the dark and skinny female cultivator saw her dark and skinny skin exposed, she couldn't help but become furious. She waved her hand, and a palm of lightning shot out, attacking Xiaohua. If you want to go to the battlefield with this level of cultivation, go back obediently and hide in the Earth Thunder Palace. Let your master teach you for another 10 years. Xiaohua sneered. His right hand slightly formed an incantation, and a foot-long earth shield appeared in front of him, blocking the thunder palm. Crackle! There was a burst of lightning and thunder. The thunder palm struck the earth shield into pieces, but in the end, it didn't break through the earth shield's defense. Get out of the way! A voice rang out. The gray-haired late-stage Foundation establishment female cultivator angrily rebuked. She took out a foot-long staff, and streaks of lightning flashed between the 2 ends of the staff. What? You haven't even gone to the battlefield, and you want to use a magic weapon to deal with a disciple who just returned from the battlefield? Xiaohua didn't seem to be afraid. He clapped his hands, and another dozen or so top-grade fireball talismans appeared in his hands. The magic power on the fireball talismans violently vibrated. It seemed that as long as he slightly urged his magic power, the dozen or so fireballs would rush out. Senior Marshal Brothers, Senior Marshal Brothers! The patrolling disciple, who had already rushed over, hastily rushed over and cupped his hands. Please don't use fire, please don't use violence. My Imperial Thunder Sect has an extremely strict rule. If there is internal strife during the war, there will be no mercy. How could that be? Xiaohua's eyes turned, and the fireball talismans disappeared. He said with a beaming smile, I'm currently exchanging pointers with this senior marshal Sister Kun. I'm using myself to teach her about the cruelty of the battlefield. How did it become an internal strife? This is absolutely not happening. Then, Xiaohua turned his head and looked at the female cultivator in midair, smiling brilliantly. Don't you think so, Senior Marshal Sister Kun? That female cultivator clenched her teeth. She looked at Xiaohua, then looked at the patrolling disciple, then looked at the skinny, dark-skinned female cultivator who had already put on a new Taoist robe. She said coldly, When did I exchange pointers with you? Who are you? You actually dare to block I from teaching a lesson to the shameless disciples of my Imperial Thunder Sect? You're really crazy! Xiaohua was somewhat speechless. He was swimming freely in the hand of karma, enjoying the leisure he hadn't had in a long time. But suddenly, he sensed something in his heart, and his mind broke away from his primordial spirit. When his Buddhist awareness swept out to check, he saw Cui Hongshan and the others coming over. Seeing that he was so concerned about him, Xiaohua also felt very gratified. But then, 3 female disciples of the Earth Thunder Palace came out and actually wanted to teach Cui Hongshan and the others a lesson. When could the disciples of Myriad Thunder Valley be taught a lesson by others? Xiaohua immediately refused to do it. It was very simple. He threw out a dozen or so fireballs, and in a short while, he forced 3 middle and late-stage foundation building female cultivators to lose face. The most wonderful thing was that this didn't reveal Xiaohua's cultivation level. Xiaohua was angry at that female cultivator for speaking rudely, but when he heard her words, he smiled bitterly. It turned out that this female cultivator was actually a simple-minded person. She believed whatever she heard and didn't know how to be flexible in the slightest. I'm a disciple of the first team of the Imperial Thunder Sect, and I'm the shameless disciple you said. Xiaohua sneered. How do you want to teach me a lesson? Then bring it on. I'd like to see if a sword cultivator on the battlefield couldn't kill us. How can we die in your hands? At this time, many disciples of the Imperial Thunder Sect had been alarmed by the sound of the fireball talisman. They flew over and watched what was happening in front of them with interest. Some of them were even familiar with the 2 disciples on duty and had already inquired through voice transmission. Several disciples on duty didn't know whether to laugh or cry. They bowed and said, Senior Sister Kun, if you want to spar, you can choose a quiet place and don't disturb others. Besides, even if you want to teach these junior brothers a lesson, you don't have to take out your magic weapon. This is the station of the Sky Patrol City, not my Sky Thunder Peak. Humph, I get angry when I see shameless people. The dignity of the Imperial Thunder Sect has been tarnished by these shameless people. The female cultivator in the late stage of foundation establishment snorted coldly and put away her magic weapon. She still said bitterly, I was stopped by a friend as soon as I entered the Sky Patrol City yesterday and was ridiculed. What would you think? At that time, I thought that if there was a crack under I's feet, I would immediately escape into it. Humph. You want to escape? Do you know the 5 elements escape technique? Xiaohua said coldly. We're fighting for our lives in the Sky Patrol City. You just came to the Sky Patrol City and you haven't even seen the sword cultivators, yet you're angry at your junior brothers? What does your face count for? Could it be that it's more important than our lives? What? What's that? The female cultivator was stunned. Ha ha ha. The male cultivators of the Imperial Thunder Sect all laughed, but the anger on their faces did not dissipate at all. Yes, the cultivators present had been in Sky Patrol City for a long time and had participated in many battles. Each of them saw their senior brothers and junior brothers lying in a pool of blood. Not only were they unable to help, but they also had to try their best to escape. At this moment, everyone understood what had happened and had some complaints about the late-stage Foundation establishment Senior Sister Quinn. However, Senior Sister Quinn was a late-stage Foundation establishment cultivator and a disciple of the Earth Thunder Palace, so no one dared to say anything. The dark and thin female cultivator's face showed a gentle expression. She stepped forward and pointed her finger at them. "What's with your attitude? Are you still a disciple of the Imperial Thunder Sect? Do you really know your identity? Do you really respect your seniors? The seniors just said one sentence and you responded with 10 or 100 sentences. I don't know how the cultivators of the Thunder Palace educate their disciples." "You." Hearing the cultivator mention the Thunderquake Palace, even though he hadn't mentioned the Myriad Thunder Valley, Xiao Hua was furious. At this moment, Cui Hongshan lightly pulled Xiao Hua and said in a low voice, "Senior brother, let little brother do it." After saying that, Cui Hongshan didn't care about Xiao Hua's reaction. He walked out from behind Xiao Hua and gave a long bow to the 3 female cultivators. "3 senior sisters, you are the senior sisters of the Earthly Thunder Palace. When we meet, we naturally have to be respectful. This is the respect this disciple gives to the 3 senior sisters. Hee, that's not bad. It's best to learn from your mistakes." The dark and thin female cultivator smiled and returned the bow, thinking that she had intimidated Cui Hongshan and the others. Xiao Hua frowned slightly and looked at Cui Hongshan with some confusion. Then, Cui Hongshan's words shocked everyone. "However, this is only the respect this disciple gives to you. This respect is according to the rules of the sect. This disciple has to give it to you. However, you can only get this kind of giving respect, you absolutely cannot win it. And although I, Cui, am a Foundation establishment disciple of the Myriad Thunder Valley, unable to obtain your respect and can only endure your insults and indiscriminate beatings, I, Cui, lead the Thunder Controlling Sect's first squad and can win the respect of Yanxi Prefecture's conference hall. My Imperial Thunder Sect's first squad received a mission to head to Rooster Mountain when the other Imperial Thunder Sect disciples were heading here. When the other Imperial Thunder Sect disciples were preparing on the Thunder Boat, we fought with the Sword Cultivators. We fought a bloody battle and escaped from Rooster Mountain. When the other Imperial Thunder Sect disciples were still rubbing their hands in Sky Patrol City, we had already achieved the first meritorious service for the Imperial Thunder Sect. Did my Imperial Thunder Sect's first squad's meritorious service come out of nowhere? Did you get it by relying on the connections you speak of? At that time, Senior Sister was probably still cultivating her body and mind in the Thunder Palace, right? -8. Chapter 2457. Could it be that Senior Sister has never thought about it? You have the time to cultivate. Who gave you this time? Wasn't it exchanged with our lives and blood? It seems like Senior Sister doesn't have the right to say anything about us. Let's talk about the Golden Spring Mountain that Senior Sister mentioned. Does Senior Sister know about it? How was the hardships of the Imperial Thunder Sect's first team in the journey to the Golden Spring Mountain? I remember that before the transportation portal, I met the leader of the Imperial Thunder Sect's 10th team, and we agreed to drink and chat merrily after the great battle. I wonder if that senior brother from the Heavenly Thunder Palace had returned? At this moment, a sorrowful voice cried out, "Leader Cui, my Heavenly Thunder Palace's 10th team was annihilated by sword cultivators on the way to the Spirit Stone mine 5 years ago." "Sigh, that's right," Cui Hongshan lamented. "Back then, senior brother Chen was so arrogant, but the war was so cruel. Before he could even enter the Spirit Stone mine, he was killed by sword cultivators. What about my Imperial Thunder Sect's first team? Not only did they successfully enter the Golden Spring Mountain Spirit Stone mine, they even saved the lives of several other sect's disciples on the way. These merits are all real. Even if I and the rest died, it cannot be erased. I, did not obtain senior sister's respect, but I and the rest won the respect of the other Dao sects. Wow! The group of Imperial Thunder Sect's disciples clapped their hands. Shui Hongshan's words seemed to have spoken their hearts. The bloody battle at the Golden Spring Mountain. Has senior sister seen it before? Flesh and blood splattered and lives disappeared one by one. But my Imperial Thunder Sect's first team was not afraid at all. Which disciple did not kill more than 10 sword cultivators? Tens of thousands of Sky Patrol City's disciples, thousands of Dao Sect's disciples, they all died in this battle. Senior sister, can you imagine? Shui Hongshan did not give up and continued to speak passionately. I don't know what the other disciples are thinking, but I know that I have no intention of returning alive. I only know that if I can kill one more sword cultivator, my Dao Sect's cultivators will be in less danger. I only want to fight to the end and leave my life and blood on the battlefield. And not to stay here and be humiliated by senior sister. This Chui has indeed earned merits and received the sect master's commendation, but this is not what this Chui wants. If this Chui had a choice, this Chui would rather hide in the myriad Thunder Valley like senior sister, cultivate with master, and discuss cultivation experiences with senior brother. This Chui was absolutely unwilling to come to this battlefield. Since I have no other choice, I can only come to Sky Patrol City. I know that on the battlefield, my cultivation is different from all the senior brothers here. However, my determination to kill the enemy and protect the True Path sect is the same. I am not inferior to the senior brothers who are in the later stage of foundation establishment. Although I, Chui, was fortunate enough to survive the battle at Jinquan Mountain, tens of thousands of my Dao sect disciples were buried there. Of course, the lives of these disciples were not sacrificed in vain. Tens of thousands of sword cultivators were also killed. Whose contribution was this? If Senior Tu Hongtu has it, then I feel that this merit belongs to the tens of thousands of Dao sect disciples who sacrificed themselves. It belongs to us, the cultivators who are fighting for our lives. Even I, Chui, should have obtained battle merits. After all, I have already killed dozens of sword cultivators. But what about you, senior sister? You just arrived at Sky Patrol City, right? You haven't even been assigned a task, right? You haven't killed anyone yet, right? What qualifications do you have to take advantage of this, Chui? Just for your little bit of face? Chui Hongshan questioned the 3 female cultivators of the Earth Thunder Palace with, "What qualifications do you have?" The 3 of them were flushed and wanted to defend themselves. However, when they saw the anger of the surrounding Imperial Thunder Sect disciples, the 3 of them felt a little uneasy. Just when everyone thought that Chui Hongshan was going to shut up, a faint blush appeared on Chui Hongshan's face. He continued, "This Chui will talk about the relationship between this Chui and Dui Qiming of the Lightning Conversion Palace. I'm sure all of you know the reason. This is also the reason why senior sister is blaming me. In fact, in this Chui's mind, there is no intention to blame Qiming at all. This Chui is just a disciple of the Imperial Thunder Sect in the early stage of foundation establishment. Even if Dui Qiming dual cultivated with Senior Tu Hongtu, so what? People strive for higher places and water flows down. He is a gold core stage cultivator. He is far more helpful to Qiming than me. This Chui would rather Qiming dual cultivate with Senior Tuesday. As long as Qiming is happy, this Chui is willing to cry in the dark and shed tears of blood. However, senior sister, don't forget that the reason why Qiming agreed to Senior Tu's dual cultivation request was because of my death. She was grateful to Senior Tuesday. She thought that Senior Tu killed tens of thousands of sword cultivators in the Battle of Jinquan Mountain. She felt that Senior Tu had avenged me. Only because of this, she agreed to this request. Not to mention that this request was made by Senior Shui Yuzhenren of the Imperial Thunder Palace in Yanxi Mansion. Senior sister, if Senior Tu Hongtu treats you like this, how do you feel? Do you dare to refute the decision of a nascent soul stage cultivator? Because of this, Qiming also thought that the marriage alliance with the Imperial Thunder Sect would be beneficial to the disciples of the Imperial Thunder Sect, so she agreed to dual cultivate. I can even say that Dui Qiming's action was not only for me, but also for all the disciples of the Imperial Thunder Sect in the Imperial Thunder Sect. Even if she made a sacrifice, it was for the sake of her fellow disciples. But what about her now? What kind of situation is she in? She doesn't dare to face this Chui, doesn't dare to face her fellow disciples. She stays alone in the quiet room, tasting the bitterness that others don't know. What is she afraid of in her heart? Isn't it your misunderstanding? What is the result? It is really not beyond her expectations. She didn't come out, but this Chui will be slapped in the face first. Senior sister of the Earth Thunder Palace, you are also a female cultivator. Don't you understand the hearts of female cultivators? Why do female cultivators have to go against other female cultivators? Moreover, Senior Tu Hong was assassinated by Qin Jian a few days ago. Now is the time for all the disciples of the Imperial Thunder Sect and the Dao Sect to unite against a common enemy. This is the time for us to actively offer suggestions and pool our efforts to see if there is a better chance to kill Qin Jian. Firstly, we can avenge Senior Tu Hong, and secondly, we can restore the morale of our Dao Sect cultivators. Senior sister of the Earth Thunder Palace, let me ask you, what are you doing here? We are here to kill Qin Jian, to kill the swordsman, not to hurt our fellow disciples' hearts, and not to slap our fellow disciples' faces. If all the disciples of the Imperial Thunder Sect were as narrow-minded as you, for the sake of your so-called face, you would make wild guesses without asking for the truth, inverting right and wrong, and vent your little bit of magic power and anger on the first team of the Imperial Thunder Sect, I, Chui, and the other members of the Imperial Thunder Sect. Then, for this battle, it doesn't matter if our Imperial Thunder Sect disciples don't fight, or if our Dao Sect cultivators don't fight. Boom! The Imperial Thunder Sect disciples cheered loudly. Everyone felt that Chui Hongshan's words were powerful and resonated with their hearts. Some of the disciples even bowed and said, "Junior brother Chui, so this is the truth of the matter. We were too shallow and were unfair to the junior sisters of the Imperial Thunder Sect. I apologize here. Damn it! Chui Hongshan's words are better than a song." Xiaohua almost wanted to give Chui Hongshan a thumbs up. Xiaohua was confident that he wouldn't be able to say Chui Hongshan's words. However, he wasn't jealous. I won't say it, but I will do it. My actions are better than a song. Just as the 3 Foundation Establishment Realm female cultivators from the Earth Thunder Palace were blushing and didn't know what to do, a voice coughed and said, "What are you waiting for? Why are you not cultivating in the quiet room during a battle? Why are you gathering here to watch the show? If there's nothing else, then disperse. If Senior Brother Qian finds out, all of you will be punished." Everyone turned their heads and saw a golden core cultivator behind them. That cultivator had actually come out a long time ago. The nearby disciples also saw him, and made a clear path for him. "Greetings, Martial Uncle Kun!" A few disciples who recognized the golden core cultivator hurriedly bowed and saluted. "Forget it. Quickly disperse while Senior Brother Qian and the others are still unaware. When the other disciples on duty come over, I will take care of them." "Yes, we understand." Everyone looked at each other, and hurriedly dispersed. "Martial Uncle Kun Shui!" The blushing late-stage Foundation Establishment Realm female cultivator came forward to greet him with some shame and anger. She said in a low voice, "Martial Uncle, you have to give this disciple justice. This disciple boasted that he was a meritorious member of the Imperial Thunder Sect and repeatedly insulted the Earth Thunder Palace." "Shut up!" Kun Shui coldly said. "This Kun has already seen your actions. You only know your own vanity and take other people's nonsense as the truth. You even want to teach a meritorious member of the Imperial Thunder Sect a lesson in front of everyone. This old man won't teach you a lesson, but you still want this old man to help the wicked?" Martial Uncle Kun, the dark and thin female cultivator, still wanted to argue. "Xiamo," Kun Shui angrily said. "If this old man's guess is correct, this was all your idea, right? How could Kun Yunhee and Kun Zi have so many connections? Yes, this disciple knows her mistake." The dark and thin female cultivator truly lived up to her name. At this moment, Xiamo muttered in a low voice, "Since you know your mistake, hurry up and apologize to the first team of the Imperial Thunder sect, Qin Shui scolded. Apologize to them? Are you kidding me? Not to mention Xianmo, even Qin Yun he couldn't accept it. Martial Uncle Qin, we are senior sisters of the Earth Thunder Palace. If we apologize, where will our face go? You're waiting for face? Qin Shui sneered. Just now when you were scolding the first team, did you think about their face? Since you don't care about other people's face, then don't even think about your own face. But this is the face of my Earth Thunder Palace, Quincy said, feeling wronged. But this is also the face of my Imperial Thunder sect, Qin Shui resolutely said. This matter has already spread out. Right now, only my Imperial Thunder sect disciples know about it. This is the face of my Heavenly Thunder Palace. But if you don't admit your mistake and this matter spreads out, then it will be the face of my Imperial Thunder sect. Is my Imperial Thunder sect's face bigger or my Heavenly Thunder Palace's face bigger? If this matter is known by Senior Brother Qianmo and Sky Thunder Peak Sect Master, do you know the consequences? -8. Chapter 2458. Not bad, this martial uncle of the Earth Thunder Palace is quite reasonable. Xiaohua smiled and thought. This is rare even in the Imperial Thunder sect. Humph, I must make this guy apologize. He actually dared to delay this young master's cultivation. If it weren't for them making noise outside, how could this young master be disturbed? Unfortunately, Xiaohua was wrong. Cui Hongshan stepped forward and bowed. Junior Cui Hongshan of the Thunder Palace and Myriad Thunder Valley thanks Martial Uncle Qin for upholding justice. However, this matter of apology is over. Oh? Why? Qin Shui was a bit surprised. You said so much just now, wasn't it just to make Qin Yunhe apologize? Martial Uncle misunderstood Junior's meaning. Cui Hongshan smiled calmly. Junior's heart has been bitter these past few days. Senior Sister Qin poked my soft spot, so I said a few more words. Actually, this junior is very clear that Senior Sister Qin and the others are doing this for the sake of this junior. They are angry that this junior doesn't strive and hate that this junior isn't strong. If this junior can do better, how can Senior Sister Qin and the others lose face? Therefore, Junior feels that Senior Sister Qin and the others don't need to apologize or admit their mistakes. The one at fault is the sword cultivator, not the cultivators of my sect. Ha ha ha, good. Qin Shui clapped. With a disciple like you, Myriad Thunder Valley will sooner or later become famous in my Imperial Thunder sect. In comparison, the disciples of my Earth Thunder Palace are much more narrow-minded. Qin Yunhe and the others also looked at Cui Hongshan with interest, their eyes full of admiration. The three of them looked at each other, stepped forward, and cupped their hands. Junior Brother Cui, I and the others were wrong. After listening to other people's chatter, we actually regarded a great man as a coward. I and the others were wrong, Junior Brother, please forgive us. I don't dare. Cui Hongshan hurriedly bowed. Junior is convinced by Senior Sister's urging. Junior will definitely protect Qiming and not let her be bullied by others. Good, Qin Shui smiled again. Like this, no discord, no concord. A good thing has become a bad thing. Yunhe, you and the others also follow Martial Nephew Cui to take a look and comfort Qiming. Don't let her feel disappointed. Yes, disciple understands. Please rest assured, Martial Uncle Qin. Xianmo and the others bowed respectfully. Martial Qin nodded slightly, flicked his sleeves and left. He didn't even look at Xiaohua and the others. Sure enough, Qin Yunhe and the others followed Cui Hongshan and the others to the secluded place of the thunder-controlling sect's first squad. Xiaohua also returned the medallion of his resting place to the two aura refining disciples and followed behind them. When they arrived in front of the restriction, several people went in. Jin Minghui was about to call Xiaohua, but Xiaohua looked to the left and said in a low voice, Senior Martial Brother Minghui, you go in first. I have some matters to attend to. Junior Brother, where are you going? Jin Minghui asked anxiously. Now that the entire Sky Patrol city is unstable, it's better to stay away from it. And this Xiao knows. Xiao Hua nodded. However, this Xiao has some important matters to attend to, so this Xiao has no choice but to go. All right then, junior brother Xiao, leave early and come back early, Jin Minghui said with concern. Xiao Hua checked the medallion and left the encampment of Sky Patrol City. He went straight to the auction in Sky Patrol City. After an hour, the sky turned dark again. Xiao Hua came out of the encampment. Today was not the day of the auction. Although there were cultivators trading inside, there were very few elixirs like the Qianli pill and the Linglei pill. Xiao Hua searched for a long time but did not find anything. He originally wanted to use the token that Cixinyu gave him during the last auction, but he thought again. Of course, he gave Cixinyu spiritual herbs, so it was hard to guarantee that Sky Patrol City would not covet them. Now that he wanted to cover his tracks and wait for the limelight of the assassination of Tu Hong to pass, how could he send himself to their doorstep? It was even to the extent that Xiao Hua thought for a moment before making a prompt decision to destroy the keepsake, so as to not leave the slightest chance of it being discovered by others. Xiao Hua returned to the encampment somewhat depressed. When he entered the restriction, he saw that everyone was there. Xiao Hua looked at Dui Qiming, who was accompanying Cui Hongshan, and said with a smile, "Senior Marshal Sister Dui, you're still as elegant as ever." Cui Hongshan and the others did not dare to neglect, and all stood up. Dui Qiming took half a step forward and saluted. "Many thanks for junior brother Zhao's praise." At this time, Dui Qiming's face had a trace of a smile. Obviously, the arrival of Qin Yunhe and the others gave her confidence. "Oh? What about the 3 people from the Earth Thunder Palace?" Xiao Hua smiled and returned the salute. "They left an hour ago," Cui Hongshan said with a smile. "If it weren't for Senior Marshal Brother's help, I'm afraid I would have suffered a loss." "Senior Marshal Brother?" Hearing Cui Hongshan suddenly call Xiao Hua Senior Marshal Brother, not only Dui Qiming, but also Jin Minghui and the others were surprised. The two of them had a grudge since they left the Imperial Thunder Sect until now. Wasn't it because of the title of Senior Marshal Brother? Even though Xiao Hua had saved Cui Hongshan several times, Cui Hongshan had never called Xiao Hua Senior Marshal Brother. Why did he suddenly call him Senior Marshal Brother now? Hee. Seeing Dui Qiming's bewildered and happy expression, Cui Hongshan laughed and said, "Actually, this Cui has been thinking about it since returning from Golden Spring Mountain. This Cui came back from the dead and understood that fame, wealth, cultivation, and competition are not as real as the affection between Senior Marshal Brother. My Myriad Thunder Valley does not have many disciples, and this Cui still has a grudge with Senior Marshal Brother. What does this mean? Senior Marshal Brother Xiao became Master's disciple earlier than this Cui, so this Cui should call him Senior Marshal Brother. Of course, just because I reached Foundation Establishment first, I was complacent and thought I could surpass Senior Marshal Brother. But now that I think about it, I'm really a frog at the bottom of a well. Fortunately, Senior Marshal Brother Meng did not abandon me and saved this Cui's life several times. Just now, you even made a move in front of everyone and did not embarrass this Cui. If this Cui still does not call you Senior Marshal Brother, how can this Cui be a man? How can this Cui return to Myriad Thunder Valley? Ha, Junior Marshal Brother Cui, since you say so, then Senior Marshal Brother has nothing to say." Xiao Hua rolled his eyes and laughed. "Wait for Senior Marshal Brother to give you the benefits." "Senior Marshal Brother Xiao!" Jin Minghui, Bai Sugu, and the others also echoed. "Senior Marshal Brother has saved us several times. Now that your cultivation is above us, we also have to call you Senior Marshal Brother. Shouldn't we also have some benefits?" "Go away." Xiao Hua waved his hand and said, "This Xiao will accept these Junior Marshal Brothers of yours, but there are no benefits. Wait until you all become my Myriad Thunder Valley's disciples. Marshal Uncle Xiao, you can't favor one and discriminate against the other." Zhenhua and Bai Sugu did not change the way they addressed Xiao Hua and called out without any pressure. "Forget it." Xiao Hua scratched his head and waved his hand. He took out a dozen flying swords and said, Feel free to choose from these flying swords, haha. Jinhua and the others were overjoyed when they scanned with their divine senses. These are all flying swords of drawing sword cultivators. Martial Uncle Xiao, you're really willing to part with them? Pick 2 for each person. Xiao Hua was rarely forthright. He waved his hand and laughed. Haha, then Junior Martial Brother won't be polite. Cui Hongshan also said happily. Junior Martial Brother wanted to take it last time, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. After that, I regretted it. Hee hee, Xiao Hua only smiled and did not say anything. Since Cui Hongshan admitted defeat, how could he be stingy with the disciples of the Myriad Thunder Valley? After Jin Mingwei and the others picked their flying swords, Xiao Hua thought for a while and took out a sword slip. He copied it and gave it to Jin Mingwei, saying, Sword cultivators' flying swords are really unique. If you all have the time, there's no harm in taking a look. Jin Mingwei received it with even more surprise. Just as he was about to take out a blank jade slip and copy it, Xiao Hua said to Cui Hongshan and Diu Aiqiming, You too, although this Xiao is going out, this Xiao has something to tell you. Yes, we will listen to Senior Martial Brother Zhao's instructions. Diu Aiqiming also followed Cui Hongshan's greeting and replied respectfully. Jin Mingwei knew that this was a matter of the Myriad Thunder Valley, and did not follow. He only copied the jade slip in the quiet room and waited for them to return. Who would have thought that he would wait for more than 10 days? Xiao Hua took Cui Hongshan and Diu Aiqiming out, and went straight to the pill refining cave. Cui Hongshan and Diu Aiqiming did not understand, but they still followed behind Xiao Hua. When they reached the entrance of the cave, Cui Hongshan whispered, Senior Martial Brother, why did you bring Junior Martial Brother here? Hee hee, naturally there are benefits for you. Xiao Hua pretended to be mysterious and said, Can flying swords count as benefits? Yes. Cui Hongshan glanced at Diu Aiqiming. Both of them did not understand, and their eyes were full of doubts. Xiao Hua clapped his hand and took out the city guard Chang Shu's message talisman. He clapped his hand and it flew out. At this time, a disciple of the Sky Patrol City came out of the pill refining cave and shouted impatiently, Are you looking for someone? Or do you want to use the pill refining room? How can you casually send a message talisman here? Don't you know the rules of this pill refining cave? Xiao Hua saw that this Sky Patrol City disciple's face was exactly the same as Chan Shu's. He ignored him and just stood there with his hands behind his back. I'm talking to you. The disciple was a little angry. This is an important place for refining pills. If you have nothing to do, don't stand here. Fellow Taoist. Cui Hongshan could not help but speak. He hurriedly stepped forward and cupped his hands. We are disciples of the Imperial Thunder Sect. We want to come to the pill refining cave to refine pills. May I know how to do it? With that, Cui Hongshan clapped his hand and took out his token. You can refine pills? The Sky Patrol City disciple almost laughed out loud. He looked at Cui Hongshan, who was only in the early stage of foundation establishment, and even looked at Xiao Hua and Diu Aiqiming. No matter how he looked at them, they did not look like alchemists who could refine pills. Hee hee. Cui Hongshan looked at Xiao Hua, who was still silent, and was a little confused. He could only smile apologetically. Whether I can refine pills or not is my business. May I ask fellow Taoist how to use the pill refining cave? My Sky Patrol City's pill refining cave is a quiet place, not a place to do those dirty things. If fellow Taoist has such plans, it's better to go somewhere else. The disciple was not polite and refused flatly. Cui Hongshan was a little angry. Today, this Cui is going to use the pill refining cave. This is a spirit stone. Ignore him. Xiao Hua also felt a little awkward in his heart. He should have talked to this disciple of the Sky Patrol City in a pleasant manner, but after the unpleasant experience with Chang Shu last time, he did not have much of a good impression of the Sky Patrol City disciples. Moreover, he did not even put a gold core stage cultivator in his eyes, so how could he lower his head and smile at this early stage foundation establishment stage disciple? However, this disciple was even more disgusted than Chang Shu. -8. Chapter 2459. Let's wait for Chang Shu, Xiaohua said coldly. Oh? So the three of you are here for senior brother Chang Shu. What stunned Xiaohua was that when the disciple heard Chang Shu's name, his face immediately changed, and his smile was brighter than the sun in the sky. Why didn't you say so earlier? At this time, there are many empty alchemy rooms. How many do you want? While they were talking, a disciple of the Sky Patrol City hurriedly flew out of the alchemy cave. It was Chang Shu, who Xiaohua had seen before. Captain Chang, why did you come in person? I'm making arrangements for your old friend. When the disciple saw Chang Shu, he immediately said flatteringly, Well, fellow Xiao is a good friend of mine, so I can't not come in person. If you have nothing to do, you can go and rest first. Chang Shu nodded with a smile. Yes, Captain Chang. The disciple respectfully saluted and said, Captain Chang, if you need anything, please let me know. Immediately, the disciple tactfully saluted Xiaohua and the other two and left. Looking at the disciple's face that changed in an instant, Xiaohua didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He was afraid that he would never be able to learn this kind of magical power in his lifetime. But then, his heart trembled again, and he thought to himself, A real man knows when to yield and when to stand tall. Wasn't I the same when I was a rogue cultivator? Why can't I put down my face now? Of course, this was Xiaohua's small sigh. Chang Shu's laughter sounded in his ears. Fellow Xiao, we haven't seen each other for several years. Back then, this Chang had seen your medallion of commendation, and thought that you had really perished at Golden Spring Mountain. When I received your message just now, I was truly surprised. This Chang was just saying, with Dao friend Zhao's cultivation, how could he have perished? Ha ha, fellow Chang, you must be joking. Xiaohua cupped his hands and said, I was just lucky. Then he said straightforwardly, They are my junior brother and junior sister. I want to use the alchemy cave, please make it convenient for me. Seeing that Xiaohua didn't introduce the names of the two people, Chang Shu tactfully didn't ask and said with a smile, This is my duty, you don't have to be polite. With that, Chang Shu took out a jade slip and looked at it before saying, It's still the same as before. There aren't many people using the Imperial Thunder Sex Pill Refining Cave. Fellow Taoist Xiao, please follow me. As Xiaohua and the others entered the concoction cave, Cui Hongshan and Diu Aiqiming became even more confused. Would Xiaohua know how to do it? Even if he did, why drag the two of them along? If it was something important, he could have said it in the quiet room. Why did he have to come to the pill refining cave? Fellow Taoist Xiao, this is what fellow Taoist used last time. May I know if it is possible? This time, Chang Shu personally opened the alchemy room's restriction and asked with a smile. Hee, of course. Xiaohua clapped his hands, took out some spirit stones, and handed them over to Chang Shu. He then said to Cui Hongshan and Diu Aiqiming, You guys go in first and wait. Yes, senior brother. The two of them obeyed and went in. Xiaohua looked left and right, then said in a low voice, This Xiao has something to ask. Oh? Fellow Taoist Xiao, please speak. Chang Shu wasn't surprised. If Xiaohua didn't have anything special, how could he possibly call him out? Does the Washing Flower sect have a female disciple in the pill refining cave? This? Chang Shu was somewhat hesitant. That female cultivator is this Zhao's dual cultivation partner. Xiaohua didn't hide it. This Xiao instructed her to come. If there are no mishaps, she should be in the pill refining cave 5 days ago. Ha ha ha, Chang Shu laughed. Fellow Taoist Xiao, you really have some tricks up your sleeve. That Washing Flower sex fairy Hong Xia is extremely beautiful. When this Chang Shu saw her that day, she was like a celestial being. So she is fellow Taoist Zhao's partner. What a perfect match! Xiaohua rubbed his hands. Where is she now? She is... Chang Shu transmitted his voice and took out a light red communication talisman. This communication talisman can be sent at the entrance. She can receive it from inside. Hee. After speaking, Chang Shu's face also revealed an ambiguous smile. Many thanks, fellow Taoist Chang. Xiao Hua was overjoyed. He clapped his hands, took out 2 flying swords, and stuffed them into Chang Shu's hands. He said with a smile, "This shall pick them up in Huan country. I will give them to fellow Taoist Chang as a memento. Fellow Taoist Xiao is too polite." Chang Shu originally wanted to decline, but with a sweep of his divine perception, he knew that these were the flying swords of a drawing sword swordsman. How could he bear to push them away? He reached out to receive them, looked around, and said in a low voice, "Since that is the case, this Chang Shu won't be polite. Fellow Taoist Xiao, please continue with your work. If there is anything else, please send a message to this Chang Shu." After speaking, he cupped his hands and left. He didn't even want the spirit stones. As the ancients say, it is easier to become an official if you have connections in the imperial court. These words are really true. Xiao Hua turned around and entered the alchemy room with a smile. Inside the alchemy room, Cui Hongshan and Dui Qiming were holding hands and looking at the furnishings inside. When they saw Xiao Hua enter, they walked over and asked curiously, "Senior brother, why did you come here?" Qiming, just now, the 3 people from the Earth Thunder Palace came. Do you think their attitudes were sincere? Xiao Hua didn't answer, but instead asked Dui Qiming. "Senior brother!" Cui Hongshan was greatly alarmed and said anxiously, "They already apologized. Senior brother, don't be ruthless." "TSK, do I have to?" Xiao Hua curled his lips. "Is your senior brother so unreasonable?" Their attitudes can still be considered sincere. Dui Qiming smiled and said, "However, they are disciples of the Earth Thunder Palace after all. I don't think it's a sincere apology. And junior sister is extremely right." Xiao Hua nodded. "They are disciples of the Earth Thunder Palace, but because of that Golden Core Master's prestige, they were forced to come and apologize. According to their nature, it's still not necessarily true. This is also because Senior Brother's divine ability is amazing. They had no choice but to come," Cui Hongshan said with emotion. "What? You saw through it?" Xiao Hua said with a smile. "This Xiao asked you to come here today for this matter." "This matter? What matter?" Cui Hongshan and Dui Qiming looked at each other, somewhat puzzled. Xiao Hua clapped his hands and took out 2 jade slips. He handed them over and said, "Take a look first." "Yes." The 2 took the slips and immersed their divine senses. After a moment of looking, pleasant surprise appeared on their faces. Especially Dui Qiming, who cried out in disbelief, Is this real?" Of course it's real," Cui Hongshan said with a smile. "This is the betrothal gift my myriad Thunder Valley wants to give you." Immediately, Cui Hongshan turned and said, "Senior brother, you mean, that's right, now is the time." Xiao Hua waved his hand and took out 10% of the Thunder Beast's inner cores. "This item has long been with me. I originally wanted to wait until we returned to the Myriad Thunder Valley, but now you have to leave first. Although eldest senior brother has experience, he may not be able to take care of you. It's better for me to work a little harder." "Many thanks, senior brother." Cui Hongshan beamed from ear to ear. Dui Qiming was also happy. Her chest heaved up and down as if she was abnormally excited. However, a trace of hesitation flitted across her face very quickly before disappearing. "And take a look at this secret art first." Xiao Hua had not seen it before and said with a smile, "I'll give you 1 day. If you don't know, feel free to ask me." With that, Xiao Hua turned and left while muttering in his heart, Since junior brother is so infatuated with Dui Qiming, it seems like Dui Qiming is also interested in junior brother. However, there are too many temptations in this world. Who knows how many unforeseen events will occur after returning to the Imperial Thunder Sect from Sky Patrol City? Will Dui Qiming's master change his previous decision because of Tu Hong's matter? This young master will cook the rice first and let Dui Lei Palace taste the sweetness of this thunder core. If this can't keep Dui Chiming's heart and make her master give up, then don't blame this young master for being ruthless in the future. No matter how much this young master has eaten, this young master will spit it out. Senior brother, where are you going? Chui Hongshan thought Xiao Hua would stay in the cave. Naturally, this elder brother has a good place to go. Xiao Hua smiled mysteriously and left. Senior brother Xiao is so strange. After Xiao Hua left for a while, Dui Chiming whispered, What is he going to do? How would this husband know what he's going to do? This husband only knows that my wife, you should hurry and comprehend the secret technique. We only have a day's time. When senior brother returns, he will have to consume the thunder core. At that time, if you don't understand, there will be a big problem. Isn't there still senior brother? What is this concubine afraid of? Dui Chiming smiled. Although she said that, Dui Chiming didn't dare to be negligent, and hurriedly immersed her divine sense into the jade slip to comprehend the secret technique. Xiao Hua went to deal with Fairy Hong's Xia and sent the tidal beads away before returning to Chui Hongshan and Dui Chiming's cave. The two had been waiting anxiously for a long time. Senior brother Xiao, it's been a day and a night. This younger brother thought something happened, Chui Hongshan said happily when he saw Xiao Hua enter. So long! Xiao Hua was slightly stunned and thought, It seems like it was just a moment ago. However, he still smiled and said, This older brother was afraid that you didn't comprehend enough, so I left more time for you. How is your comprehension of the secret technique? Yes, senior brother knows. Dui Chiming smiled and said, This secret technique is originally my Imperial Thunder Sex secret technique. Although there are some obscure parts inside, since senior brother Xiang can comprehend it, this concubine and Chui Chiming can also comprehend it. Clearly, Chui Hongshan had already told Dui Chiming about Xiangjili. Good. Xiao Hua clapped and said, Since junior sister Dui already knows about eldest senior brother's matter, you must also know the consequences of using the thunder core. This older brother won't repeat it. Yes, this concubine understands. Dui Chiming's face was red as she whispered, Junior brother Chui, do you have a dual cultivation technique? Xiao Hua suddenly thought of something and asked abruptly. No, this younger brother doesn't have such a dirty thing. Chui Hongshan was stunned and said, When this younger brother was in the Chui family, the clansmen never let this younger brother come into contact with such things. They only said that when it came to dual cultivation, this younger brother would naturally understand. This younger brother also didn't think about it when this younger brother came to Myriad Thunder Valley. Ah, how sad! Xiao Hua curled his lips and turned to look at Dui Chiming. Dui Chiming's face was red and she didn't say a word. It was very obvious that this female disciple of Imperial Thunder Sect also didn't have any experience in this area. I'll be a good person to the end. Xiao Hua sighed and clapped his hands, taking out 2 pink jade slips. He gave one to each person and said, In the time it takes to brew a cup of tea. Chui Hongshan and Dui Chiming received them somewhat shyly and looked at them with flushed faces. After waiting for the time it takes to brew a cup of tea, Xiao Hua saw that both of them had received the jade slips. Xiao Hua then handed the token to Chui Hongshan and said very thought-provoking, And this is the token for the refining room. Once you've taken the core, this older brother will go out. You can decide when you want to go out. Even Chui Hongshan's face was awkward as he smiled apologetically and said, Yes, this younger brother understands. However, he really felt sweet in his heart. Following this, senior brother Xiao, who was extremely displeasing to the eye, really brought about a lot of good things. Immediately, Dui Chiming and Chui Hongshan sat opposite each other. Xiao Hua gave each of them a portion of the lightning beast's core, and he released a trace of Buddhist awareness. Chui Hongshan glanced at Dui Chiming and clapped his hands. The lightning beast's core hit his chest, and with a flash of lightning, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth in the cave gathered like a swarm of bees. Following the flash of lightning on Chui Hongshan's chest, it entered Chui Hongshan's body. Rise! Xiaohua watched as the lightning beast core gradually turned into a ball of lightning. Just as it entered Cui Hongshan's body, there was still half of the core that hadn't transformed. His heart unconsciously moved, and with a pull of his hands, a thick bolt of lightning appeared in midair and accurately hit that half of the core. With a crackling sound, the lightning was sucked into the core, and the core completely turned into lightning. When the thumb-sized lightning entered Cui Hongshan's body, Cui Hongshan's entire body trembled. From inside to outside, every inch of his skin flashed with a trace of lightning. Cui Hongshan's face revealed an extremely painful expression. Seeing this scene, Xiaohua naturally knew that the lightning was tempering the body, and didn't find it strange. However, at this time, his Buddhist awareness discovered a trace of abnormality. Most of the lightning actually rushed into the blood vessels. Xiaohua's Buddhist awareness went deeper, and he saw the lightning wrapped around the blood vessels near the skin, quickly rushing into Cui Hongshan's body, and converging towards his heart meridian. And where the lightning passed through the blood vessels, a faint dark red color gradually overflowed along the blood vessels. When the lightning entered Cui Hongshan's heart meridian, with a loud kacha sound, Cui Hongshan's heart meridian suddenly emitted a thick dark red color. This dark red color quickly rushed along the heart meridian to the blood vessels, and then overflowed out of the body. GG, a few weak chirps sounded, and that dark red color transformed outside of Cui Hongshan's body, gradually condensing into a 1 chi tall skylark celestial body. Ha ha ha, excellent! Seeing this, how could Xiaohua not know the whole story? This lightning beast core actually stimulated Cui Hongshan's true blood vessels, and formed the skylark celestial body. At the side, Dui Qiming was also very happy, and a strange light flashed in her eyes. After the skylark celestial body appeared, from Cui Hongshan's heart meridian, a faint purple lightning that was much smaller than the eye of a needle was born, and slowly entered Cui Hongshan's meridians. At this time, Cui Hongshan's heart technique was still circulating. Every time the lightning passed through an inch of meridian, a trace of lightning would be born from the meridian, and enter the lightning. As the lightning circulated in the meridian, the lightning became increasingly stronger. Oh! This looks very similar to the avalanche at Jinquan Mountain. Xiaohua used his Buddhist awareness to observe, and suddenly, the scene of the avalanche that day appeared in his mind. The snowflakes grew from small to large, from weak to strong, and even formed a large avalanche. If I want to condense the lightning beast's core in my body, I still have to control the speed of this avalanche. Xiaohua nodded slightly, but then he frowned. How can I control this speed? It seems that the secret technique did not explain it. Seeing that the lightning ball was getting bigger and bigger, and Cui Hongshan had no way to control it, Xiaohua was a little bewildered. If this continues, Cui Hongshan's meridian and even his body will not be able to support it. How does eldest senior brother control it? Ha! Xiaohua suddenly laughed secretly, and hurriedly turned his head and said, Junior sister Dui, you should quickly consume it too. Now? Dui Qiming was stunned, but she did not dare to refute. She immediately clapped her hands, and silently recited the secret technique in her heart. Similarly, several lightning bolts were produced and landed on Dui Qiming's chest. Although it was not convenient for Xiaohua to use his Buddhist awareness to observe, he still pulled. 2 lightning bolts fell, and the lightning beast's core that Dui Qiming had only refined to 40% turned into lightning bolts. Only then did he turn his head to look at Cui Hongshan again. At this time, Cui Hongshan's body was surrounded by lightning bolts, and the lightning bolts were constantly rotating from top to bottom, and then from bottom to top. His face gradually turned dark red. The skylark's Dharma body was also covered by lightning bolts, and its appearance gradually became clearer. After another hour, the lightning bolts around Cui Hongshan's body had stabilized, and the lightning bolts in his meridians had also completed a cycle and landed on his lower dantian. Inside his dantian, there were also waves of lightning bolts slowly forming, and they gathered on top of the lightning bolts that were starting to stagnate. Seeing this, Xiaohua's eyes revealed a gratified expression. He was clear in his heart that although Cui Hongshan was currently only at the early stage of foundation establishment, the lightning bolts formed from the lightning beast's core would definitely affect his core formation in the future. If there were no accidents, his gold core cultivation would definitely be expected. At this time, Cui Hongshan's meridians emitted a thunderous sound, and a strong yang qi was produced from the lightning beast's core, quickly rushing into his meridians. Cui Hongshan's body began to swell, and his face turned red. "Wait a moment!" Xiaohua looked at Cui Hongshan's bloodshot eyes, and with a wave of his hand, a spell landed on Cui Hongshan's dantian, imprisoning the lightning beast's core that was emitting yang qi. A lightning beast's core will attract the yin and yang qi due to the lightning beast's physique. If it's a male and female lightning beast's core, even if it attracts the yin and yang qi, it can be neutralized by the yin and yang qi in the art of alchemy. Just like when I injected the male and female lightning beast's cores into the phoenix celestial body. Xiaohua secretly thought while observing. It seems, apart from the phoenix celestial body, this young master has also done this before. There was no mistake, as long as the two cores are the same. Great! Xiaohua waved his hand and removed the restriction in Cui Hongshan's dantian. Then he wiped Cui Hongshan's body and took out the token. His figure flashed, and he rushed to the door of the pill room. He opened the restriction and threw the token in with a flip of his hand. He laughed heartily and said, "After a long drought, it's the night of the bridal chamber. This Xiao will take his leave, ha! No need to send me off." Xiaohua withdrew from the alchemy room and watched as the restrictions on the alchemy room slowly closed. Only then did he feel relieved and fly towards the other alchemy rooms. He secretly smiled and said, "Junior brother, do your best. This is all your senior brother can do for you. The rest is up to you." Chirp! The skylark's celestial body's cry faintly sounded in the alchemy cave, and it was also abnormally excited. It seemed to be responding to Xiaohua's thoughts. "You're back so soon?" When Xiaohua returned to the alchemy cave, he and Fairy Hongxia were in. Fairy Hongxia had not finished refining the mist bead, and she asked in surprise, "My wife is here, how could I let my wife wait for so long?" Xiaohua said with a smile. "Hee, thank you for your concern, my husband." Fairy Hongxia said unhappily. "Who was it that made me wait for so long these few days?" "That?" Xiaohua scratched his head, looked left and right, and shouted very angrily. Who was it that didn't have tender feelings for the fairer sex?" -8. Chapter 2460. Che Fairy Hongxia also learned Xiaohua's catchphrase and said disdainfully, "Is there a need to look? Isn't it you?" "Ha ha ha!" Xiaohua laughed loudly, enjoying this warmth. Looking at the mist-tied pearl in Fairy Hongxia's hand, he laughed. "How is it? Is this betrothal gift of your husband good?" And Fairy Hongxia nodded. "This mist-tied pearl is a magic treasure that this concubine uses. The Xiantian primordial water inside is even more precious. If this concubine refines it properly, it can definitely compete with a golden core cultivator. As long as my wife likes it." Xiaohua was immensely proud. Unfortunately, Fairy Hongxia's tone changed and said regretfully, "But if you want to use it as a betrothal gift, it's still far from enough." "It can't be?" Xiaohua curled his lips. "My wife, don't ask for too much. If you anger your husband, be careful that your husband doesn't want you." "Ha ha, you dare!" Fairy Hongxia glared at him unceremoniously. "If you dare to not want this concubine will chase after the 9 heavens and the 9 underworlds to capture you back." "All right," Xiaohua stretched out his hands and smiled. "Just based on my wife's words, your husband won't go anywhere. I'll wait for you here." "Hee hee." Fairy Hongxia stuck out her tongue and threw herself into Xiaohua's arms. She snuggled against Xiaohua's chest. After a while, she said, "To be honest, husband, you really want to go to the same place as me. If you succeed, Master can't refuse to agree to our matter." "Oh? Where?" Xiaohua was slightly stunned, somewhat puzzled. "My husband, this concubine will speak the truth. Don't be angry." Fairy Hongxia looked into Xiao Hua's eyes and said seriously. Speak. Xiao Hua waved his hand without a care. If you have something to say, then say it. See how magnanimous your husband is. It's like this. Fairy Hongxia hesitated for a moment, and said tentatively. Actually, this concubine came to Sky Patrol City this time because I miss you. However, this is not what I said to my master. Ha ha ha, I knew it. Xiao Hua laughed heartily, and kissed the side of Fairy Hongxia's peach-red cheeks. It was precisely where that little black mole was located. When you told your husband was just muttering. How could you possibly mention your husband to your master? So, it was hidden here. Husband, please don't blame me. Fairy Hongxia was a little embarrassed. Of course I know of my husband's magical powers. However, my husband's cultivation level is indeed a little low. If my husband is in the later stage of foundation establishment, I can report this to my master. Haha, isn't it just cultivation? That's really easy. After saying that, Xiao Hua dispersed the secret technique and released his pressure. Ah? Husband has already reached the peak of the late stage of foundation establishment. Fairy Hongxia was truly wild with joy. My husband is truly a genius that is hard to come by in 10,000 years in my Xiaoyu continent. Hee, this isn't much. Xiao Hua immediately used a secret technique to conceal his cultivation realm. Husband, you don't have to be like this all the time, right? Fairy Hongxia said, feeling both angry and amused at the same time. I think it's pretty good, Xiao Hua said with a smile. Taking people by surprise, I'm used to it. Fairy Hongxia also had a defeated look on her face as she shook her head and said, My husband is already a Jinan cultivator who is about to condense his Jinan. This kind of thinking is really too a rogue cultivator. Forget it, let's not talk about this. Xiao Hua, of course, could not be too straightforward. He waved his hand and said, My wife, aren't you also in the later stage of foundation establishment? Your cultivation speed is not too far off from mine. Hee, my cultivation speed is indeed faster. Fairy Hongxia pursed her lips and said, Even compared to Senior Li Zongbao, I don't think I'm inferior. However, this concubine's actions are nothing. Oh? There's someone even more powerful? Xiao Hua was a little surprised. Yes, that Yun Jiechong seems to have entered the later stage of foundation establishment. Even if he hasn't, he's already at the peak of the middle stage of foundation establishment. Fairy Hongxia said. He has already been taken in by another Jindan cultivator. TSK. Xiao Hua laughed and said, Now that the bloodline of the cultivation families has shown its power, I'm afraid it's not just the two of you, right? That's right. Fairy Hongxia nodded and said, Master said so too. Because the spiritual energy of heaven and earth has gradually changed, the true bloodline of the cultivation families has also been correspondingly stimulated. The cultivation speed of the disciples of the cultivation families has greatly increased. Yun Jiechong and I are nothing, but I heard that a disciple of a family has cultivated from Qi refining level 10 to Jindan in just a few decades. Ah? How is that possible? Xiao Hua was shocked. From Qi refining to Jindan, how can it be so simple? This is also a secret of my Huanhua sect. I don't know if it's true or not. Fairy Hongxia shook her head and said, However, even if it's not Jindan, it's still quite powerful and can be compared with my husband. Don't compare with your husband. Xiao Hua sighed and said, Your husband has never thought of himself as a genius. My husband is a genius in my eyes. Fairy Hongxia smiled charmingly. That's right, your cultivation has improved so much. Is it your master? Xiao Hua asked. She is also of the Kai family bloodline like you. She should be very powerful, right? Fairy Hongxia's face darkened when she heard this. She shook her head slightly and said, The spiritual energy of heaven and earth has changed quite a bit. Our Huanhua sect's method of selecting disciples is no longer suitable. The masters are currently looking for a suitable method. Furthermore, for disciples who are already at Qi refining and foundation establishment, like me who can stimulate my bloodline, it's still fine. The other disciples are simply not suitable for the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, and their cultivation stagnates. Especially for masters above Jindan realm, it's even more difficult. My master has not improved much in the past few decades. If she doesn't have any opportunities, I'm afraid. Sigh, everyone's opportunities are different. Let's just leave it to fate. Xiaohua sighed and pointed at Chao Mengzu. This magic treasure belonged to a Jindan master of my Imperial Thunder sect. In order to find primordial water, she even lost her life, let alone cultivate. Now that we're alive and well, it's already good enough that we can cultivate. That's right. Fairy Hongxia clapped her hands and said in realization, this primordial water is useful for water-type physiques. Maybe Master can use it to break through. It's best if it's useful. Xiaohua laughed. There's a lot of primordial water in this Chao Mengzhu. Oh, that's right, this is a cultivation technique for Jindan realm. Take it as a reference. Alright. Fairy Hongxia knew that Xiaohua did not have a water-type physique, so she took it without hesitation. With this primordial water, your master won't disagree, right? Xiaohua said with a smile. When Fairy Hongxia heard this, she smiled and said, perhaps. However, even if it's possible, my husband will still have to accompany me. Actually, on the surface, I'm here for the Dao Cultivator battle in Sentry City. In fact, my master has given me a mission. It's to find my Kai family's ancestral hall near Million Ming Mountain. What? Your Kai family's ancestral hall? Xiaohua was surprised. When you just reached the mid-stage of foundation establishment, you said that you wanted to return to Qin Yang's Kai family and enter the ancestral hall? Why? Now that you're in the late stage of foundation establishment, why haven't you entered the ancestral hall? Fairy Hongxia smiled bitterly. Yes, I thought it would be a simple matter, but I didn't expect it to be so troublesome. Fairy Hongxia then explained the ins and outs of the matter. It turned out that ever since she had parted with Xiaohua, Fairy Hongxia had paid a visit to Kai Qin. Kai Qin was naturally delighted and immediately sent Fairy Hongxia back to Qin Yang, just like how Yun Gaichong had returned to her clan. Unexpectedly, although Qin Yang's Kai family rarely treated a mid-stage foundation establishment disciple of Huanhua sect well, they were not as generous as Su Yanyan's family. Not only did they not take out the icy wind cultivation technique, they also did not allow Fairy Hongxia to enter the ancestral hall. They only said that Fairy Hongxia was already a disciple of Huanhua sect and was not qualified to enter the ancestral hall. Moreover, Fairy Hongxia was from Liang's Kai family, which was just a small branch of Qin Yang's Kai family. Fairy Hongxia could have forced her way in, but if she did, she would end up like Kai Qin. Therefore, she could only return to Huanhua sect dejectedly. Of course, Kai Qin was very angry about Qin Yang's Kai family's seclusion. However, she was also helpless. After all, she had already betrayed the Kai family and could no longer take half a step back. However, Kai Qin did not give up. She tried her best to find a way to enter the ancestral hall of the Kai clan of Qin Yang. A few years ago, Kai Qin heard an incredible rumor from an elder of an aristocratic clan who was on good terms with the Kai clan. The Kai clan of Qin Yang was not originally located in Qin Yang, but somewhere in the Huan Kingdom, near the Millions of Ming Mountains. It was because of the pressure from sword cultivators and soul cultivators that the entire clan was forced to move to Qin Yang in the Shi Kingdom. In the Million Ming Mountains, the ancestral home of the Kai family, there was a real ancestral hall of the Kai family. So, your master wanted to take advantage of the war between the Dao cultivators to let you enter Huan country and find the ancestral hall of the Kai family? Xiaohua did not know whether to laugh or cry. I really don't know what kind of brain your master has. Now that the sword cultivators of Huan country are wreaking havoc in the north of Shi country, even swordsmen have appeared. Aren't you courting death by going to Huan country? Master, there's nothing we can do. Fairy Hongxia smiled bitterly. I heard from Master that our Kai family's disciples have taken a blood oath to never enter the ancestral home for more than 100 miles. We can only get close during the war between the Dao cultivators. Or even enter. Fuck, there's such a blood oath? Xiaohua scratched his head. Yes, I don't know either. Fairy Hong Xia smiled apologetically. But since it's like that, it naturally makes sense. If I don't take advantage of this opportunity to go to the ancestral home, when will I? Hee, why doesn't your master go himself? Xiaohua asked in return. Didn't I just say that even if master finds the complete ice phoenix cultivation technique, without a special opportunity, he won't be able to make any progress? Why would he go? Fairy Hong Xia shook Xiaohua's arm and said, If husband doesn't accompany this concubine, then who can accompany this concubine? The problem is, can you go to Huan country from Sky Patrol City? Xiaohua was puzzled. Hee, look. Fairy Hong Xia took out a bamboo-like token from her storage bag as if she was presenting a treasure. What's this? Xiaohua scanned the ordinary-looking token with his spiritual sense and was puzzled. -8. Chapter 2461. This is the sect master token of my Huanhua sect? Fairy Hong Xia said proudly. When I advanced to the late stage of foundation establishment, I asked for it from the sect master. When I took out the sect master token, my Huanhua sect senior uncle Xiang Ming also wanted to let me go to Huan country. All right. Xiaohua scratched his head. Since you've planned it out, I'll go with you. Oh, you can go out as you wish? Fairy Hong Xia was a little surprised. Of course, senior brotherly Zongbao said so. Xiaohua nodded. The first team of Imperial Thunder Sect, except for me, will be returning to Imperial Thunder Sect. My husband is the best. Fairy Hong Xia understood Xiaohua's wry smile and hugged him, offering her lips. Just as the two were entangled, Fairy Hong Xia was shocked. She patted her hand and took out a token from her storage bag. There was a fluctuation of magic power on it. Fairy Hong Xia smiled bitterly. My husband, I'm afraid I can't accompany you here. All right, go ahead. Xiaohua knew that Huanhua sect had matters to attend to and he could not delay her. He waved his hand and said, Also, when are you going to Million Mountain Meng? Let me know in advance. I'll ask senior brotherly Zongbao for leave. I know. Fairy Hong Xia pursed her lips. I don't think it'll be too soon. I have to put on a show in Sky Patrol City, otherwise, it'll be bad for Master's reputation. All right. Xiaohua smiled and patted his hand, taking out a jade bottle and handing it to Fairy Hong Xia. I haven't seen my wife for a long time. Consider this a gift. If my wife wants to use it as a betrothal gift, it should be fine. What? When Fairy Hong Xia saw Xiaohua's final gift, she was rather puzzled. However, when she opened the jade bottle and scanned it with her spiritual will, she could not help but be overjoyed. She exclaimed, This is the rejuvenation pill from Sky Patrol City? How did you get this? Hee, do you like it? Xiaohua did not mention how he got this item, but asked instead. Husband, isn't that nonsense? Fairy Hong Xia said excitedly. Which female cultivator in this world doesn't care about her looks? I heard that many Golden Core cultivators came to the Sky Patrol City with hundreds of thousands of supreme-grade spirit stones to bid for this item. How can I not like it when I see it? And as long as you like it. Xiaohua pulled Fairy Hong Xia into his embrace, feeling her warmth, as he whispered. Your husband wishes he could place all the treasures in this world in front of you, as long as you are happy. Husband! Fairy Red Dawn extended her soft tongue and lightly kissed him. She smiled and said, These are all external objects. I don't care for them. As long as you can stay by my side, I will be satisfied. Moreover, a female guard should put on an appearance that pleases her husband. Isn't this concubine's appearance for my husband to see? As long as you don't mind, this concubine isn't greedy for this rejuvenation pill. Haha, that's right. That's why I found this rejuvenation pill, Xiaohua said with a smile. Don't wait for your hair to turn white before you get together with your husband. What will others think of your husband then? Haha, of course they will think that you are a pretty boy, Fairy Red Dawn replied mischievously. After Fairy Hong Xia consumed it in front of Xiao Hua, Fairy Hong Xia asked tentatively, "Husband, did you get this rejuvenation pill from a bidding war? If you can find another one. And your husband understands. Isn't it your master?" Xiao Hua smiled and said, "Your husband is thinking about it. However, when you give it to master, you must say that it is a filial gift from your husband. Although it is not a betrothal gift, it cannot be given for free. I know. You can rest assured." Fairy Red Dawn saw that Xiao Hua was so attentive and was happy at first. She took the jade bottle and kept it in her storage bag. Then, she kissed Xiao Hua affectionately again. Soon after, Fairy Red Dawn left in a hurry. Xiao Hua looked at Fairy Red Dawn's reluctant expression and felt sweet in his heart. He and Fairy Red Dawn were separated more than they were together. He didn't even have enough time to be with Shui Shui. Thinking of Shui Shui, Xiao Hua felt apologetic. "I forget it. I have to save spirit stones one by one. As for wives, I have to cultivate with them one by one." Xiao Hua opened the restriction of the alchemy room and sat cross-legged on top of the top-grade spirit stone. He smelled the faint fragrance of Fairy Red Dawn's body. He clapped his hands and took out a few golden pellets and a clear water bottle. The clear water bottle was the first Buddhist tool that Xiao Hua had obtained. Moreover, this Buddhist tool was to his liking. Now that he had time, he naturally had to carefully refine and familiarize himself with it. Xiao Hua released his Buddhist sense and carefully looked at the remaining 2 golden pellets. One of the golden pellets recorded the methods of refining and using Buddhist tools, including Xiao Hua's clear water bottle. The other one recorded some Buddhist holy lands, famous eminent monks, and the grand occasions of these holy lands and the deeds of the eminent monks. There was no Buddhist cultivation method like the Prajnaparamita Heart Sutra that Xiao Hua had given to Jian Luer. Xiao Hua didn't have much time. He roughly flipped through the second golden pellet and sent it into the space so that the primordial spirit in the space could have time to carefully look at it. Then, he focused his attention on the control of the clear water bottle. The method of controlling Buddhist tools was different from magic tools. It required the use of Buddhist seals to drive psychokinesis. Xiao Hua had only cultivated the Buddha Saraira. How could he know what psychokinesis was? That day in the Yin-Yang Twin Springs Mountain, he was purely blindly guessing. Who knew where he had encountered that he had actually obtained the innate primordial water? Now that he had time, he naturally had to carefully look at it. Xiao Hua, just like last time, threw the clear water bottle into the air and formed the so-called Buddhist seal in his hand. Unexpectedly, the clear water bottle was different from last time. It didn't seem to listen to his orders at all and didn't move at all. Strange! Xiao Hua scratched his head. After thinking for a moment, he patted his forehead again and released the Buddha relic. The Buddha relic emitted a faint Buddhist light as it sprinkled onto the jade bottle. Strange runes faintly appeared in the milky white jade bottle. Xiao Hua's hand formed the Buddha seal again. Seeing the clear water bottle shake slightly, Xiao Hua felt that something seemed to want to come out, but it just couldn't pour out. Explode! Xiao Hua persevered and waved his hand, taking out an ice thorn talisman. A blue light flashed in the air. Withdraw! Xiao Hua pointed his finger. Sure enough, a gentle force came from the clear water bottle and sucked the light back into the bottle. Damn it, so it's a guy who only eats and doesn't vomit. Xiao Hua smiled, but this was not the result he wanted. How can I make this thing attack? Xiao Hua pondered. What is this telekinesis? Thinking, Xiao Hua's gaze fell on the Buddha's Saraira. After all, the clear water bottle could only be used with the Buddha's Saraira in the air. If it wanted to attack, it would have to fall on the Buddha's Saraira. Oh? Could it be that I can use the Buddha's Saraira to form the Buddhist seal? Xiao Hua suddenly had a whimsical idea. In the past, he had never thought that the Buddha's Saraira could move. What's wrong with that? Since it can spit out mantras, it must also be able to use a Buddhist artifact. Xiao Hua suddenly realized. Immediately, Xiao Hua opened the golden yo again and put the primordial spirit in the Buddha's Saraira to control the Buddhist consciousness, gradually flipping through it, Seeing this primordial spirit comprehending the use of the Buddhist artifact, Xiaohua took out the 2 gourds he obtained from the yin-yang twin spring mountain. The 2 gourds, one yellow and one ice blue, were covered with sword runes. The sword runes were constantly vibrating, and sword light flashed out from the gourds. So powerful! Xiaohua's gaze swept over, and his eyes felt as if they were pierced by a sharp sword. There was actually some pain and numbness. At this time, it is still nurturing sword spirits. If 2 sword spirits are nurtured, wouldn't it be more powerful than the Tai Azure Light Sword? However, the Yin and Yang sword spirits, what's the difference between them and the Tai Azure Light Sword and the Supreme Azure Light Sword? This sword cultivator's sword slip only has the method to nurture sword spirits, but it doesn't record the method to use it. Can this sword spirit be used without a flying sword? And there is also that sword intent. Li Xiaobai and Reverend Brightsword both said that sword intent is the true essence of flying swords. Sword pills and flying swords are secondary. However, this young master's flying sword already has a sword spirit, so why can't I see any sword intent? That little deer seems to be Reverend Brightsword's sword intent, but it looks very obedient, so how can it kill people? This young master doesn't even have a sword intent, so what's the use of these 2 yin-yang sword gourds? Forget it, you wait here and slowly nurture the spirit. Xiaohua knew that these 2 sword gourds were good, but he couldn't use them, so he had to throw them in the space. Either way, I will destroy the sword cultivator's plan, so they can't use this extremely powerful yin and yang sword spirit. Next was Feng Buping's magic staff and wind bead. Xiaohua weighed the magic staff. It was really good, and the length was also suitable. However, this thing was Feng Buping's, so Xiaohua didn't dare to use it. He still hadn't figured out who the beast cultivator behind Feng Buping was. Per me, I can't use anything. This magic staff can only be used after I return to the Myriad Thunder Valley and integrate it into the staff. Xiaohua sighed helplessly, but he was happy in his heart. When his gaze landed on the wind bead, Xiaohua's face showed caution. Feng Buping's methods were indeed powerful. He was the first person Xiaohua had seen other than Yuanying cultivators. The wind bead floated in the air like a feather, and the nearby wind was surrounding the wind bead. It seemed that as long as one controlled the wind bead, they could control the wind in the entire cave. Goldie, you're awake? Come out! Xiaohua didn't dare to neglect, and called the sleepy Goldie out of the space. Mother, are you okay? Goldie came out of the space and asked intimately. I'm naturally okay. Xiaohua nodded slightly, but then he was stunned. Goldie, you know how to say hello? Say hello? Goldie was puzzled. Is that what you just said? Yes. Xiaohua nodded. You weren't so polite before. Mother, what is polite? Goldie was puzzled. -8. You're tuning into the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.